Owned. Fucking owned. Well done. I'm so upset that he wasn't here to hear it.
And obviously, I'm talking about his obsession with grooming gangs in the UK. That's all I mean.
Yeah.
Don't want to get into a very long discussion on that.
I wish you were here to hear that.
Do you hear that feedback?
Yeah. He's like listening to our stream. It's like, oh, there we go. Maybe he's fixed it now. Yo, what up?
All right,
what now?
I think I fixed it. I think I fixed it. Give me 1 second to quickly ask my chat if it's worked.
Sure.
Man, I'm so bad at technology. It's fucking frustrating.
You're good. Aren't you like 18?
No. I'm much older than 18. I'm like 26.
Oh, okay.
Unfortunately.
You're a young buck.
Unfortunately?
You wish you were younger?
What's wrong with being 26? You're in the twilight of your life, dude.
Yeah, exactly. It's already over. It's already over.
It's all ogre.
Yeah, exactly. 1 second. I'm just gonna make sure that it's streaming on my end. Fuck, it's just. Oh my god, man. I'm not good with tech. Okay, yeah, it's working. Okay, cool. All right.
And hey, Drew, and if you need audio from like one of our streams, I'm giving you permission to take it from either my stream or Aaron's stream.
I've just opened up like your stream on YouTube, and I'm just putting it on my YouTube. Okay. I don't know how to use the Discord server yet, unfortunately. But it's okay.
Sorry about that, man.
That's okay.
Oh, you're like sharing the browser source of the stream.
Yeah, that's
fucking legendary.
Yeah,
no, I mean, okay, I think it's not optimal, but I think it might work.
It's obviously not optimal. I haven't worked out how to use like Discord yet or any of this stuff. I'm dog sitting for 3 dogs, but thank you.
I'm sorry
that it took so long. Yes, 3 dogs in my house. Okay. Thank you for your patience, guys.
No, of course. Listen, I've been wanting to talk to you, have another conversation with you for a while now. And I thought that
there's a number of things we've got to discuss. Obviously, we want to discuss Superman.
Yeah.
There's 2 other things I think we should discuss as well.
Zoran.
One being Zoran, of course, and then the other one being
Ethan.
When it came to the grooming gangs Ethan as well. We'll talk about Ethan. But when it came to the grooming gangs in January, you were telling me you had all these arguments saying like, oh no, this is actually sort of like a right-wing beat up. There's no actual real evidence of any disproportionate effect and stuff like that. There's now been an independent government report that's come out in June, and the government report that came out in June that's independent said that it actually was disproportionately Pakistani men who were involved in the grooming gangs, and also that it was genuinely that all levels of the British state failed to address that thing because they didn't want to be seen to be racist. So I would have you
rewatch that debate and pay close attention to the claims that I was making, and I think that it would benefit us to look at the video and what the claims were, because I think the question was basically, do we attribute this to Islamic culture, and do we think that there's a basis because
I don't think it's Islamic culture. I don't think it's Islamic culture. I think it's like rural Pakistani culture.
Yeah, like I know, but your claim was a little bit broader than that, because you said something like Islamic culture, and then you were talking about other kinds of, non-Pakistani Muslims and how it affects other societies in the West. And so I think it was a little bit broader than that, Drew. I think that when you talk about grooming gangs in general, and I think you were kind of, I don't know, on your stump a little bit about grooming gangs and implying that I didn't care about grooming gangs, and we got into it. So I really think that people should watch that original debate.
We can watch it back. I think we should have a proper debate on
100%.
Europe and Islamic extremism and mass migration, all these sorts of things. But we can just put that to the side for now. Let's talk about what's the first topic you want to discuss? Superman.
I think the first thing we should discuss is Zoran. I think that we should discuss that first. Because I think it will play in, and I think it has to do a little bit with anti-Semitism in general, and allegations of anti-Semitism, and that might actually like bring in and bring in like other issues related to the Superman and actually what's going on in Australia as well. So yeah, I'm like, what's your fucking beef with Zoran? I think you're going unhinged on Twitter. You're like going after his wife. You're like saying all this unhinged shit.
I didn't go after his wife. I didn't go after his wife. I actually said his wife was beautiful. I actually was complimenting her, if anything.
You said, wait, can I quote it? Can I quote it?
What did you say?
All right, quote.
Yeah, sure. I actually said it's difficult for me because I hate Zoran, but at the end of the day, I'm a Greek Cypriot Levantine man, and she's a Levantine beauty. And listen, I was actually saying it in a positive sense. I was saying it pained me the fact that I did find his wife to be a lovely woman, despite the fact that I hate him. It's a difficult thing for me, but that's it.
Isn't that a bit? So you said, quote, two wolves battle within me when I see Zoran's wife. Part of me instinctually wants to call her mid, purely despite the Twitter leftists who hate me. But another part of me is beholden to my ancestral Levantine memory from Cyprus. Thousands of years of
best ever shit posts. That was one of my best ever shit posts.
Thousands of years of evolution. Thousands of years of evolution telling me to appreciate profound aristocratic Levantine beauty. Fucking dilemma I would not wish on my worst enemies.
Yeah, that was actually that was literally one of the best tweets I've ever came up with. I'm very proud of myself for coming up with that one. I actually laughed at it for so long.
Okay,
I think people don't realize that. I think people don't realize that I have a lot of look. My Twitter's like 80% serious and then 20% shit posting, and I laugh at my own jokes all the time. And I thought that was a very funny joke. There is a grain of truth there in the sense that like I hate the sort of Zoran personality call, and everyone was going like, oh my god, they're the hottest couple in history. Like part of me just wanted to be like, no, I fucking hate you guys. But then I had to admit there's a sort of dilemma within me in the sense that, you know, I'm a Greek Cypriot bloke. She's this Syrian beauty, and you know, lovely. It's difficult, okay? So
we can move on to let's get back to the substance here.
Yeah,
because,
we'll move on.
So
the actual substantive disagreements. We can go to the substantive disagreements.
Yeah, because so obviously, you obviously don't support Zoran's campaign.
No, I'm obviously strongly against it.
Yeah, and you would if you were here and if you were an eligible voter in New York City, you would vote for Mayor Adams. Is that right?
Look. I freely acknowledge that Eric Adams is retarded. He's not exactly a good politician. The Turkish corruption thing is bad, but I did say this is maybe this is a bit of a shitpost on my end, but I did say, listen, my family are Greek Cypriot of origin. We lived under the Turkish hegemony for 400, 500 years. They probably had to bribe the Turks.
What is all this ancestral memory shit? Why is that like influencing your modern opinions? Like the evolutionary track and the Turkish connection to Cyprus.
I'm a little bit shitposting. I freely acknowledge that Eric Adams is retarded. He's pretty stupid.
He's an anti-Semite.
I don't know if he's actually an anti-Semite, but he's pretty retarded.
He defended Louis Farrakhan. That was one of like the main things.
Oh yeah, that's obviously that's retarded. I'm not gonna come
he talked to Sneeko. Yeah. He was with Sneeko.
That was bad. I criticized him for talking to Sneeko.
So if Zoran Mamdani defended Louis Farrakhan and hung out with Sneeko,
you wouldn't be posting about it?
I would. Yeah, I'd be against that, and obviously I'm against Eric Adams for doing that. I don't look. The truth is, I don't know who I would vote for if I was in America. Every option's pretty shit in the New York City mayoral race, unfortunately. Maybe like Thomas Wilder or something like that. I don't know. It's a shame. It's a shame. Like I obviously think Cuomo is a sex pest and an idiot.
I was going to say grooming gangs. I hope. Yeah. So Cuomo's a no-go, right?
Cuomo's a sex pest, and he ran literally the shittest campaign in history. And Eric Adams, like I find Eric Adams really funny. Like I kind of support him as a meme because he's just so fucking funny. Like I love that video where he's like going like around that teenager's room and he's like, check your teenager's pillows for like hollow point bullets and fucking AK-47s.
You thought that was
he's a
cool?
Funny guy, but he's funny. He's funny as fuck. Like I think Eric Adams is like probably one of the funniest politicians in America, probably just as funny as Trump. But I freely admit that he's like objectively pretty bad. And he's working with Trump on ICE and stuff is very bad, of course. I think Zoran is bad because I think at the end of the day, Zoran is essentially like his political outlook is very much shaped by like kind of like third worldist, anti-imperialist kind of hard left wing politics. And that's what I don't like. And I don't want that to be the future of the Democratic Party, because if that's the future of the Democratic Party, I would feel extremely politically homeless when it came to American politics, because I'm obviously not somebody who likes third worldist politics where you think America is like Turtle Island.
Can you explain a little bit what do you mean by third worldist politics?
Yeah, like it's basically the worldview that America is, at the end of the day, an inherently racist and terrible settler colonial power. It's shaped by 400 years of white supremacy and racism, and white Americans are like pretty much innately racist, and if they're not racist, they have to struggle not to be racist, and it's just all this poisonous, toxic race communist stuff. Like, and like he said that he doesn't like capitalism. I believe in free markets at the end of the day, and he's somebody who believes that America should kind of have, I guess, Peronist type economic policies where you have state subsidies for all these different various parts of the economy, and
they're quite mild, aren't they? I mean, you say Peronist style politics, but he's talking about like 5 grocery stores.
I mean, listen, I've got no problem necessarily with the 5 grocery stores in itself. When he talked about it as a policy experiment, sure, I'm open to policy experimentation. I like that Lee Kuan Yew style approach where it's very much full political pragmatism. Try what works. I don't think that the nationalized bodega policy is going to work well because, look, at the end of the day, what are they going to be doing? They're going to be probably undercutting local family-owned grocery stores.
He's running for mayor.
Well, I'm obviously when I say nationalized bodegas, that's a bit of a joke, but what he's talking about is essentially, publicly owned grocery stores. We know that grocery stores do have very low profit margins, like something along the lines of like 2%. And so if you're talking about like undercutting other grocery stores and stuff like that when it comes to their profit margins, like I would feel bad for the local family-owned bodegas and stuff like that in New York City if they're close to one of these publicly owned grocery stores.
It's 1 per borough. I mean, like I live in the city.
5 total in New York City.
Yeah, and like I have to tell you, like the notion that this would be.
But I want to say I'm not one of those people who thinks that the 5 grocery stores are going to implement full-blown communism.
I know, but your rhetoric. I mean, like,
he just said nationalized. He just said he wants to do a national policy.
Yeah. I was when I said nationalized bodegas. Obviously, it's not nationalizing bodegas. That's a bit of a joke, hyperbole. But I don't think it's necessarily going to work well. I'm open to it as a policy experiment for a limited amount of time. But it's not even the grocery store thing that I'm mad about.
What policy of his is like
making
it's not even. Honestly, I think the worst one is rent control, and I'm not even saying that's necessarily. I'm not saying that's a third world policy itself. Yeah, rent freeze. I don't think that's a good idea because I'm very much coming from the abundant school of thought where it's like you want to try and incentivize people to construct new housing if you put rent controls in place.
He's abundance built
during housing shortages.
He's abundance built. I mean, I don't agree with the rent freeze either, but I think. He's talking about development and solving housing by shoring up supply. That's very abundance built. He had a conversation with Derek Thompson. So yeah,
I don't think. I think that is honestly. I think that's a bit of a political tactic on his end to reach out to moderates. And look, honestly, he was very masterful. It's the first time I've seen a DSA actually. It's the first time I've ever seen a DSA type politician ever actually try to reach out to moderates. So good on him for that. That said, though, I don't think he really does believe in the abundance stuff because if you look at his stuff,
what does that have to do with third worldism, though? Because Bill de Blasio did rent freezes.
Yeah, true. True. Good point, Aaron.
I didn't say that rent freezes equals third worldism necessarily. I'm talking about.
But you said his policies are informed by this worldview, and you can't think of even like a single policy that actually.
No.
Is.
I'll tell you the ones that actually are reminiscent of third worldism. It's the general tolerance of low level disorder and crime and decay.
No,
which is like
what's that a policy? That's not a policy.
No, it's not a policy. It's not a policy, but it's an approach he takes, and I'll explain that. Let me explain that. He has literally 5 years of posts talking about defunding the police. He literally says, no, defunding the police isn't just rhetoric. We want to literally take money away from the NYPD. He said that for 5 years. I know that during the campaign, he walked away from that slightly. But, that's in his heart of hearts. If he's gone on about that as his central issue for so many years, that's his heart of hearts. His heart of hearts is he wants to defund the police. He had a tweet from 2020 where somebody was laughing about seeing a police officer cry in their car. And he was like, haha, nature's healing and stuff like that.
And tweets aren't policies.
I know that.
And if he updated it, doesn't that show you he obviously understands that it's important to like moderate his message?
But I don't believe it. I just don't believe it. That's it. I just don't believe it. I think at the end of the day, he's going to be beholden to a general left-wing outlook that is far more left-wing than I am in a whole range of different policy areas. And that's
beholden to a left-wing outlook, even though he moderated to appeal to more centrist voters and abundance liberals. Okay.
But dude, everybody knows that during elections, politicians moderate and stuff like that. But what's in their heart of hearts? I honestly think in his heart of hearts, he's very much anti-police. He's very much anti-establishment. He's very much against the concept of America being a nation state. And
what? So where are you getting that from? He's against America as a nation state?
I've got lots of evidence for that. I mean, you've got tweets. 5 years. Yeah, but that is okay. What if? Okay, do you think that my tweets reflect my opinions? Like
they can, yeah.
When people tweet, yeah, exactly. So he's
or whoever pays you, sure.
Oh,
yeah. Okay, do you want to explain that to me, Aaron? Whoever pays me.
No, it's okay. Continue.
No,
Continue
no,
I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, that's a obviously very serious.
It's inflammatory. It's serious. Yes.
You're claiming
a little joke. The way that you were joking.
I know, but you're accusing him of being a shill.
You're accusing me of, I don't know, being paid by Mossad or something like that.
I was joking about him being a shill.
Okay.
So you can't substantiate it.
Of that joke?
So you can't.
Do you want to substantiate that or?
Yeah,
or no?
share it, Aaron.
No, I just was joking around.
Okay, all right. Well, okay, we'll go on then.
Wait, but hang on a second. But are you saying that you're not paid by a foreign country? Are you? I mean, you're not.
Of course not. Okay. I wish I was. I wish I was getting paid by Mossad. It'd be my life would be so much better.
Yeah. I didn't say Mossad. Any foreign country. I mean, like, because you're very anti-China too.
I wish I was getting CIA funding. I wish I was getting Mossad funding. It'd be my life would be awesome. I'd be balling. Instead, I'm fucking living on Twitter ad revenue. Okay, so
wait. I get like $20 off Twitter ad revenue. You must be your tweets do go more viral though, so I'll give you that. All right, so you were talking about the tweets that indicate that he's against America as a nation state, and that means like he wants to make America go away, or he wants to make
no. Obviously, he's not going to, like, he's the mayor of New York City. I'm aware that he can't, like, I don't know, dissolve America as a nation state unilaterally. I just think it's interesting if you look at his political perspective over 5+ years. It's very much obvious that he doesn't have much affection for America as a nation state. So if you look at, for example, his previous July 4 tweets, he was shouting out the diplomats, and he particularly used an image of the diplomats from a song where they were joking about flying planes into 9/11. Shout out to Muhammad Atta. If you look at
wait, he shouted out Muhammad Atta.
Yeah.
In a serious way, as opposed to like a joking way. He shouted out Muhammad Atta.
Can you type in Zoran the diplomats and I don't know, Google it, find it on my Twitter or something like that, because like this is pretty bad. So the diplomats are like a famous American New York City rap group. They like were very famous, I guess, for like mocking.
All right, I'm just gonna American nationalism. Are you accusing Zoran of shouting out Muhammad Atta in a serious way?
No. Okay. I'm not saying Zoran did that. I'm saying it's an interesting choice that on July 4th, America's national holiday, he shouts out the diplomats who are most famous. Like the one line that they're most famous for is "Shout out to Muhammad Atta. We're flying the plane." Into
and I find it interesting. And I find it interesting. And I also find it interesting that Eric Adams hung out with Sneeko, who's most famous for being hanging out with Nick Fuentes. Okay, but
if you look at my Twitter history, I've got like 100 tweets attacking Sneeko very viciously.
I'm not saying you're not attacking Sneeko. I'm saying,
but you would say that people should vote for him over Zoran and Homo, right?
Based on this association and
I'm not sure. I'm not sure necessarily who I'm not sure necessarily. I would have to say perhaps people need to hold their nose. I'm not sure, because it's Eric Adams is bad. I fully admit that Eric Adams is bad, but I think somebody who doesn't believe that America should exist as a country is probably
find me the quote where he says America shouldn't exist as a country.
It's just there throughout his rhetoric for 5+ years.
No fucking way. Wait, where?
It is, dude.
You have nothing. If you actually had something like that, you would show it. You're just extrapolating that from what he said. You can actually extrapolate things from what people have said for 5+ years.
You can, but you need to have the evidence.
Yeah. You've got all these things. Like, here's a great one, right? Here's a great one. 2020, he's got his gloves on for COVID. He's putting the ups up to the Statue of Columbus, saying, tear it down. Like, why does he want to do that? Because he doesn't like the idea of Christopher Columbus coming to America.
I don't like
people criticizing Christopher Columbus means they don't think that the
America should exist as a nation state.
But that's a good. It's. I don't like Christopher Columbus, but let me ask you this, right?
Yeah.
If you think that the person who discovered, I don't know, like the New World is inherently evil, then why should America?
It's not inherently evil. No, it's not. It's not because he's inherently evil. First of all, I want to tear down statues of Christopher Columbus. You think that makes me? I don't think that America should exist as a nation state.
Well, like
yes or no to that? Yes or no? Though, right? So I want to tear.
Okay.
I'm telling you, I want to take down statues of Christopher Columbus. Does that mean that I don't think America should exist as a nation state?
Well, look, in the past, Pisco, I know you're not exactly somebody who believes very much in borders. I don't know really what you believe
the fuck?
America as a nation.
Are you serious? I'm the most American pilled guy there is.
Let me ask you this, right? Okay. If you believe that the people who discovered America are inherently evil,
not inherently,
then it must follow logically that you think the foundation of America is an evil thing that happened in history.
First of all, no, that doesn't follow at all. So
it does.
So countries can be founded on things that are like wrong, or they can have some sort of negative thing in their foundation. For example, the Americans did do a genocide on Native Americans. Yes or no?
Yes,
okay.
I think they did that. And it's horrible. It's horrible.
Another example, Australia, Australia committed a genocide on the natives in Australia, correct?
There were certainly acts of genocide against indigenous
correct. Okay, perfect.
I reject the idea. But can I explain what I reject? What I reject is the idea that inherently America or Australia are stolen land, and that the foundation of it is an inherently evil.
What do you mean by inherently stolen land? I mean, in some sense, it is stolen, right?
Okay.
Also, Columbus wasn't a founder.
He wasn't. Yeah, he landed in Hispaniola. He landed in Hispaniola. Yeah, and he was commissioned by the Spanish.
I know.
Okay, so then
I know I know that he never went to the United States. The reason why they put up the statues in New York City, it was an Italian American lobbying thing, because they wanted to basically say. It was actually like a wholesome thing from the Italian Americans. They basically wanted to say, listen, we were part of the American story from the start because Christopher Columbus was Italian and he founded the New World. They didn't put up these statues to be like, oh, we love genociding indigenous peoples. And Zoran is like, okay, I hate the idea that we have a statue for somebody who founded who discovered
who did horrible shit. Aaron, tell him what he did.
I know what Christopher Columbus did.
Genocidal maniac, dude. Even at his time, he was rebuked by other explorers and people of his era for being particularly...
Okay, I've done essays. I've literally written historical essays on this. I'm fully aware of the fact that Christopher Columbus did a lot of evil shit. I'm just saying, what is the actual... It's like the Churchill statues in Britain, right? When people put up the Churchill statues in Britain, do you think people were putting up the statues because they were like, oh, we love the Bengal genocide? No, the statues represent, this is the man who defended Britain from Nazism.
No, listen, you can have a disagreement. So you can have a disagreement on Christopher Columbus. You can say that the important thing to commemorate, and like there's not perfect people, and that the founding is something that you should still... No. Here's where I disagree. This is where I differ. I want you to respond to. That's a legitimate political debate, and it doesn't mean you hate Britain if you want to take down Churchill statues. It doesn't mean you hate America if you want to take down Christopher Columbus statues.
Okay, I know. But can I just want to point you to a whole pattern of communication by Zoran over many years. I mean, for many years, if you look past you looked at his previous, if you went through his Twitter, like 2017 to 2020, he never referred to himself as American. He always referred to himself as Ugandan first, and also as Indian. He never did any July 4 posts. His one July 4 post was shouting out the diplomats, which is like the group that said, shout out to Muhammad Atta, blow up the planes. He has all these posts where he basically said, surveilling anybody involved in Islamic extremist groups in America is fundamentally evil. He was basically like dissembling when it came to Anwar and Anwar al-Awlaki, who was one of the worst al-Qaeda propagators, probably the worst homegrown terrorist America ever produced. He was basically complaining that
on due process grounds, on due process grounds, and on rights grounds. No, wait. I actually give a fuck because
Americans,
in my country,
Americans care about due process.
The thing that makes America America. Wait, the thing that makes America America is actually our Constitution and our rights. That's what makes America America. It's upholding the ideal of America to say, hey, even when we hate these people, we give them rights and we protect them. That's the most American you can do.
Okay, so you think it was bad when Obama assassinated him?
I'm not saying that, no, because I don't necessarily agree on the legal argument. I think that even though I would wait, hang on a second.
Then what are we disagreeing on?
Hang on a second. Whoa. Hang on a second. I have a different legal perspective on what's required constitutionally for us to, to do a drone strike on an individual who's engaged in a war with the United States outside of the country, even a U.S. citizen. And I happen to have the belief that that strike was probably constitutional. But I respect people who want to put additional checks and additional due process steps before the use of lethal, weapons and the use against the American citizens. And that's not anti-American to want that. In fact, if I could pass a legislation, I would want that legislation passed, that there's some checks.
Okay. Could you explain to me, Pisco, what makes Anwar al-Awlaki an American, especially at the point at which he's literally declared war on America?
So he's a U.S. citizen. He's defined as an American.
Okay. But at the point at which he'd literally traveled to Yemen, become part of Al-Qaeda over there, and literally was every single day.
So the Confederates were still Americans when they declared war or when they engaged in a war against America. Agreed? Yes or no?
I don't think no, they weren't.
They were. America considered America pardoned them all. America considered them part of the fold, and they were just in rebellion, even though they were engaged in a war against America. They weren't a separate country.
Can I ask you, why should Anwar be a citizen?
What do you mean? Why should? I don't understand. He is.
Why should Yeah, okay, but why should you not strip citizenship from literally?
Because I don't want to. This is why the Constitution grants Congress the power of naturalization, not the power of denaturalization. And this is evident in the case law that just because Congress can grant citizenship doesn't mean that they can take it away. And the only exceptions for that are when you when you commit fraud in obtaining citizenship, that's a historical exception, and when you voluntarily renunciate your citizenship. Other than that, I don't want to give Congress more authority to deprive people of citizenship, but it's the moot point anyway, because it's not about the actual legal issue here. It's about whether or not you're anti-American for wanting more procedural guardrails before you use lethal weapons on other Americans. I think that's fine.
Okay, yeah, definitely the case that Zoran was just concerned about procedural guardrails when he literally just said basically all post 9/11 terrorist surveillance was wrong. He actually had a post where he said 50% of people who've been arrested for terror-related incidents post 9/11 have been caught up in FBI stings.
Wait, have you heard?
This is horrible.
Wait. Have you heard the crazy shit? Wait, no, because you don't care about freedom and you don't care about rights. So there's crazy shit, crazy profile. Wait, no, it's true. Like
that's so dumb, man. That's so dumb.
Wait, what's dumb about that? What's so dumb about that?
I believe in the Karl Popper, the idea that to have a tolerant society, you must be intolerant of the intolerant. So I don't believe in freedom and rights.
You don't care about freedom of speech, right? In America, I do care about freedom of speech and association.
Not for Al Qaeda members. Not for Al Qaeda members.
Yeah, okay, but the thing, that's not the point, right? Like the point is,
this is actually a good question. This is actually a good question because you want to talk about it from a legal procedural ground.
I don't.
But when NY was literally putting out these broadcasts, literally declaring jihad on America, declaring war on America, encouraging people to carry out terrorist attacks in America, do you think that's covered by free speech?
Some of them, yes. Not all.
Really?
Not all. Depends.
Really?
Yeah. So
I actually want to say this is actually. I'll just explain my perspective really quickly, right? If you're a first generation migrant to an English speaking country, a Western country, right, and then you actually end up declaring war on that country. I don't care if you were born in that country. If you declare war on the country and literally encourage terrorist attacks, I don't think you should be a citizen. I think it should be stripped of you.
Yeah, because you're a government bootlicking shill, and you want to give the government the power.
Okay. How's the bootlicking?
It is.
Can you explain how that's bootlicking?
Yes, are you American? Are you American?
No, I'll give you an example. Right?
Yeah.
There were about 400 Australian citizens from Western Sydney, mostly Western Sydney, who went over and fought for ISIS in Syria and Iraq. There was a big debate in Australia over whether these people should be stripped of citizenship. And there are all these people on civil libertarian grounds going, no, you can never do it. You can never do it. And I'm like, no, if you join ISIS, you fundamentally breach the citizenship contract.
This is why I'm going to explain. I don't trust the government to have the general power to decide denaturalization questions, because when you grant them that, let me finish that. No, only in the exceptions that I provided, which is fraud in obtaining the citizenship and voluntary renunciation. Because once you grant the government, just like Trump, right, where he's doing all of these bad faith emergency declarations and trying to claim crazy power. Once you grant the government the power of denaturalization, what are they going to do? They're going to do what fucking Hitler did, which is denaturalize all the Jews. That's the first step. That's the first step. That's what they do. That's what they fucking do.
No, dude. What I'm talking about is denaturalizing like 50 of the worst jihadists.
You're saying only in extreme circumstances. And what I'm telling you is, once you grant that authority to the government, they're gonna define their emergencies the way they want.
Singapore does this. Singapore does this. Singapore carrying out Holocaust.
So I'm an American. I don't trust. So Trump right now is declaring all sorts of emergencies. He's claiming the right, and one of the key things that he's trying to do is trying to claim that the citizenship clause doesn't apply to people, because what he wants to do, Drew, is send them to fucking foreign gulags in El Salvador and take away their citizenship and take away their rights. But that's what happens when you give this power of denaturalization to the government and just say only for emergencies. That's why the power to naturalize. That's why in the American Constitution. Under the American Constitution, the power to naturalize is given to the Congress, but not the power to denaturalize.
Can I ask you a question, though? Just as a philosophical, let's talk about this from a philosophical idealist perspective, right? Why would it be good for a country let's just talk about a very limited circumstance, right? Very limited circumstance. Two parents from Yemen move to America. They hate America. They've got Islamic extremist views. They literally support terrorism. And in this thought experiment, right, they have a child on American soil. That child then becomes a citizen. 20 years later, that child is literally advocating jihad, total warfare against America, literally advocating terrorist attacks against America. At what point does that actually benefit America as a country?
I don't know that
it would just be considered like a criminal act of incitement.
It's criminal.
Why would it necessarily lead to something that means that they have to be?
But it is a question though. Like it is an actual question. Like what makes them part of the country? What makes them part of the nation?
The fact that we had a civil war.
The fact that they were born on magic, but was it the fact that they were born on magic soil?
No, it's the fact that I'm going to tell you, we had a civil war over these questions of citizenship. You're laughing, but like Dred Scott was fundamentally a decision about whether black people are considered citizens. It's
and they should be considered citizens, of course.
I know, and so we had a war, and so what we resolved we resolved as a country is that these issues of citizenship were dividing the country, and we said this is a hard, fast rule. We are going to adopt the English common rule of birth by territory, citizenship via territory, and at the time, then existing at the time. And if you're born on the territory of the United States, you are a citizen. We had to fight a whole civil war over that issue, and we said persons born in the country get that citizenship right.
I think when it comes to the fact that African Americans are citizen, of course, that's a great principle because they were in America for 400 plus years, 500 plus years in many such cases. So of course they're citizens. But if you're somebody who's turned up yesterday, you hate the country, and then you have a child, and then that child grows up to hate America, I don't understand what actually links you to America as a country, as a nation.
Well, listen, the implication is that we should decide these citizenship questions on like individual bases, and like what the rule is should be dictated by like let me fucking finish the point. Like you're implying that the general rule we should establish for how you obtain citizenship should be based on this hypothetical. And that's such a preposterous thing to say. Like, because I can conjure up some hypothetical, we should base the general rule on this hypothetical you created.
No, I'm not even asking you to base it on this general hypothetical. All I wanted to ask, the reason I raised that hypothetical was I wanted you to think through the implications of every single person who has ever existed who just gets the citizenship becomes part of the American nation, even if they hate the country and they're actually
that's true for
like what does their like ancestry have to do with it? Why are you more American because you have like third, fourth, fifth generation ancestors from America versus ones that are like newer?
I think that is part of that. African Americans have 500. Because 400 plus years, if you've got 400 plus years of ancestry in America, of course you're more American than Enwal Al-Laki.
Well, I have to say, in what sense, right? Because in what sense? Because I'm going to tell you. Wait. Let me explain. No, I'm going to respond to what you just said, right? You just said, how are you more American? I think in some cases, the biggest threat to America right now are from American citizens, multiple generations who voted for Trump. The threat to America and Americanism is Trump and MAGA, and these people have bloodlines going back, many decades, oftentimes. So there's no like, so when you say they're more American because they've been here longer, it sounds like you're implying that there's something inherent to their ethnicity or their lineage. That's what makes them more American, but that's not at all true.
I think a country is not necessarily just an economic zone. I do think that there's a whole different range of things that go into it. Part of it is history, culture, language, and ancestry. So I don't think that someone like Enwar al-Awlaki, who is the paradigmatic case for me, right? Literally a guy who had his family had less than 20, 30 years of history in America, and he literally ends up declaring war on America. I don't see how he's as American as somebody who went on the Mayflower.
What about someone on Jan 6? What about on Jan 6? What about Jan 6?
Or somebody who went back 400 years in terms of African American.
So I think it's really un-American to attack the Congress to try to overturn a presidential election. And there are many.
I think that is fundamentally
so would you denaturalize everyone who did that?
If they were a migrant, there were migrants there at that rally, of course. If they were migrants,
wait. No, first of all, when you say if they're a migrant, you mean to say if they weren't born with citizenship? Is that what you mean? That they're citizens? So because denaturalization only applies to citizens. So as a default, they're citizens. You're saying you would only support denaturalization if they weren't natural born citizens. But like, why?
Well, if you were a migrant who came to America 20 years ago and then you went participate in January 6th, why would you be still allowed to be a citizen? You literally tried to overthrow the government.
But why isn't that true of someone who was a natural born citizen? Why shouldn't you be denaturalized?
I think. Look, I'm literally the descendant of migrants to Australia.
I didn't ask that.
My family's got about. I'm trying to explain my point of view, right? I'm actually trying to outline, I'm trying to outline and elucidate my views. My family, right, has 60 years of history in Australia. I don't think I'm as Australian as somebody who's an indigenous Australian who goes back 40,000 years, or somebody who goes back to the founding of European Australia 300 years ago. I think I am more Australian than somebody who came yesterday, but I'm not more Australian than somebody who literally has 40,000 years of indigenous history in the country, or somebody who has, 300 years of European Australian ancestry as well. So I think that's pretty bad.
I think your analysis of being like the amount of years is fucking stupid. Like
it's just a binary. Either you are or you aren't. What is it? Well, I don't understand. Like factoring in all of these other things, like
great question.
Nonsense.
This is a great question.
Things.
Great question. Okay. Great question. This is a great theoretical question for you, Pisco and Aaron. Say a Native American person who has like 1,000+ years of ancestry in what is now the modern day United States. Do you think that they are more American than Anwar al-Awlaki, the guy who came over to, like, he naturalized it?
No less. No more, no less. No.
No, that's wrong. That's so wrong.
They're both Americans.
Of course,
do you think that this sort of like
Native American with
this sort of understanding of citizenship should be applied like with every nation? Any developed nation would look at it this way.
I think that people's history, ancestry should come into it. I don't think it should be. I'm not advocating. I'm not one of those retarded heritage American type people.
You're sure?
Like when you have Gen events, people going like, "Oh no, you're only allowed to be in the country if you've got like fucking great grandparents buried in the gravestone." No, that's not what I'm saying. But
I think if you don't, it should make you vulnerable to being denaturalized.
Well, no, only in circumstances where you actually want to try and overthrow the country. So if you were somebody who has 20 years of history in America and you go to January 6th and you try to overthrow the government,
you sound like a wokey, Drew. You sound like a woke scold, because you're basically doing this oppression Olympics and you're doing this kind of ranking of oppressor oppressee.
It's actually true though.
No, dude. It sounds like you're trying to take a view of it where you're going to apply this harsh sanction to people based on like the amount of years they've been here. Where if you were going to ask me subjectively what's more or less American, whatever that means, I would say that for anybody, like regardless of how many years their family have been in the country, to attack the Capitol and to try to prevent the peaceful transfer of power, if anything is un-American that should undo whatever amount of like years calculation you're doing, it should be that. But,
I agree.
But you're making a distinction. But you're making a distinction. You're like, well, if you are a Jan 6er who's a citizen who has family going back 200-300 years, don't denaturalize. But if you're a Jan 6er who is a citizen who doesn't have that same lineage and maybe was originally a migrant, you should denaturalize. And that seems to be the difference there seems to be like inherently tied to ethnicity or race or something.
I think you can't be. I think you couldn't be deported if your family has more than 50+ years of history in the country.
Okay. I think it's fucking stupid. I think it's dumb as fuck.
Deported and also deported where though? Like, have you thought through the logistics of this? If we were to denaturalize all of these people, where are they going to go? You're going to obligate other countries to take citizens that are not theirs because the United States doesn't want to take responsibility for their own citizens.
Yes. So, for example, Britain should deport the Pakistani gang rapists to Pakistan.
Even if they're not
when
Pakistani
they denaturalize
citizens?
British-born citizens, what about the white ones that have been there?
Where
are they going?
I think if you're a Pakistani migrant to Britain,
that's not what you were asked. That's not what you were asked.
Not those.
I don't care if you're born in Britain. If you are a Pakistani gang rapist, you have to be.
No. If you're a white person of Anglo heritage, white groomer, where are you?
Of course you can't be deported because you've got 1,000 years of history in the country. Because they've got 1,000. Because England is
so you're basically saying that you're applying a different lens based on race and ethnicity and heritage.
Well, not necessarily based on race. It's just that England is historically an English country. So
but for your Palestinian ethnicity, but for your and all else equal, right? They're both British citizens. Yeah. The but-for difference in how you would treat them is their Pakistani heritage.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, absolutely. Dude, do you think Pakistani people were in England 1,000 years ago? They didn't sign the Magna Carta. So why would they take in new migrants who have carried out rape gangs? I don't understand.
The people in modern era didn't sign the Magna Carta either.
Well, they descend for the people who did.
Who the fuck cares?
England is a country for English people. I don't care.
Wait,
England is a country for English people.
Okay, so now when you say it's a country for English people,
you said
the whole question is
ethnostates.
Yeah, you said you didn't want ethnostates.
And I'll explain. I don't want full ethnostates. I think migrants can come to England and assimilate into English culture. But if you carry out a rape gang, you've clearly.
But this is circular, right? So we're talking about what makes someone an English person, right? So we're trying to define what is an English person.
It's multiple different things. It's culture, history, language, ancestry. Multiple different things.
But part of that is your blood, right? If you're an Anglo.
Yeah, part of it is ancestry, of course. And if you are a new migrant to the country and you carry out rape gangs or you carry out terrorist attacks, you've basically declared war on the host.
Why not just deal with
that? A British person who does all the same things, you think they should not be denaturalized?
Well, of course they can't be denaturalized because England, at the end of the day, is ultimately a country for English people.
That's not of course. It's a completely arbitrary distinction that you're making based off ethnicity, and you're appealing to where blood and soil, where they happen to have been born, or their ancestors are from.
Explain to us, what do you think Britain is as a country? What do you think England is as a country?
Britain is wait, what do you mean what it is as a country? What do you mean by that?
I actually want to I want to draw a distinction. You know, Paul Scalise Lindemann. Paul Scalise Lindemann actually has he has a really good distinction.
Wait, I asked you a question. I asked you a question. What do you mean by what is?
I'm actually explaining to you.
Okay.
I'm explaining to you. I'm trying to explain. Paul Scala's Lindy Man, he had a great distinction where he said there are thick cultures and there are thin cultures. America, Australia, the settler countries, right? They have more of a thin culture. They have much more history of migration. Whereas something like England or Poland, they have 1,000 years of history as terms of like a coherent nation state. So it's very much different. I think America and Australia and stuff like that much more open to migrants, and it's much less tied to ancestry.
I asked you a question. What do you mean by what makes Britain Britain? I don't know what you mean by that.
Yeah.
What do you mean by
like I don't think England is just an airport waiting lounge. So
I'm asking you a question. What do you mean when you say the term ask the question? What makes Britain a country?
Yeah, what it is, not what it's not.
So I'm asking you, what do you mean by that? I'm asking you what you mean.
What actually is it? I'm asking you what you mean. What do you think?
I don't know what that question means.
You're the one coming up with this conception of a British identity or an American identity or an Australian identity. So define what that means or how you even come to the definition.
You have to make a positive case why somebody who is a Pakistani migrant to Britain, who's been in the country for 30 years and carries out a rape gang, you have to make a positive case why they are as British as somebody who's
I think the default is in the game of nations in general that citizens, that if you're a citizen of a country, unless you're an ethno-state, you're an equal member of that citizen, and the way that you're dealt with in the course of criminal justice is the normal criminal justice system. And you don't deport
citizenship. Yeah. Why should citizenship be given to people who then carry out rape gangs?
When you say why should it be given to people? This is people who assumedly already are citizens before, because the question is about denaturalization.
This is the question.
Yeah. So presumably you're giving them citizenship before they do the grooming gang, right? Because otherwise you wouldn't be talking about denaturalization. Yes. Okay. Yes. So you're giving it citizenship before, right?
They then carry that out. The fact that they then carry it out means that they were never assimilated in the first place. So why are they getting citizenship?
It would also mean they weren't really granted citizenship in the first place. If it could be revoked this easily, if they commit an act of like a criminality.
Like what makes somebody I'll give you a great example, right? So like literally the ringleader of the Rochdale grooming gangs, he said in court, the white girls are all sluts raised by the white people. The white people raised.
You can find a lot of people saying bad shit. You can find a lot of natives saying bad things too.
Okay. But he's making comments there that are basically.
You can find natives doing. Wait, you can find natives.
It's race hate. But dude, it's race hate. It's race hate against.
British you can find natives. Guess what? In the United States, the natives, like the white nationalists, are some of the biggest terrorist threats in the entire country, and that's been consistent across. Okay. But so you just pointing to some immigrant who says some fucked up shit. We got tons of citizens in this country who have lineage who say fucked up shit. So it doesn't really move me. Yeah, deal with them in the criminal justice system. What's wrong with that?
Sure, but I don't think people should have citizenship if they have never assimilated and they don't want to assimilate.
Okay, no, but after having given them citizenship, right? Because we're not talking about anything like we're talking at the point of doing the act. They're citizens.
Make a puzzle case.
Okay, yeah.
This is a good question.
Yeah, we don't have banishment, so we don't have banishment for citizens anymore. That's not the normal rule.
Okay. Do you think that migration should benefit the original?
Wait. We're talking. You're changing the game, and we're talking about something completely different.
But this is a good question. This is a good question.
I know, but it's not what we're talking about, Drew. So we were just talking about denaturalization, and now you're having a broad conversation about immigration. We're talking about denaturalization.
You have to answer that though. You have to answer that.
Wait. We were talking about denaturalization.
Because I'm trying to explain to you, your view only makes sense if you think that the purpose of migration is not to benefit the host country.
I think that immigration should benefit the country of origin. I do think that your immigration. But stop. We are talking about denaturalization. Don't try to blow up the conversation, dipshit.
Yes. But that's exactly I'm linking those two things. So if you accept that migration should be inherently something that should benefit the host country, right? Then if some of the immigrants who've come in then carry out absolutely heinous, essentially war crimes like rape gangs against people that are based on race.
Stop. At that point, they're not immigrants anymore.
We're gonna have a definitional question, right? So,
but they are still immigrants. They are still immigrants. Yes, they are.
No, but they're now citizens, correct?
Yes, but I don't think they should be citizens.
Okay, no. Okay, but before they did it, they were citizens, right?
Sure.
Okay. So
should they have to get it?
The question. Why should you not? So why should you not denaturalize? Therefore, the people who are on all four, the white people who do it.
Because English people, white ethnic English people, have been in England for 1,000 years.
Okay, so a white South African, a white South African who's is a first generation UK person who came from South Africa. He's white.
They can be deported. Of course, they can be deported.
Okay. So you're saying it's not racial based?
It's not racial. Exactly. Dude, you've made my point. Exactly. It's not racial. Thank you. That's a great example.
Dude, shut the fuck.
It's not racial based at all.
Shut the fuck up.
I'm thanking you.
Wait.
I'm thanking you.
Shut the fuck up for a second, okay? So you're saying it's not racial based because you're going to treat similarly a South African or, for example, an American who moves to the United Kingdom and who
we do that all the time in Australia. Actually,
shut the fuck up, Drew. I'm trying to. You like can't stop but interrupt. Okay, just chill. Okay, so you're going to treat people who come into the country, become citizens of UK, or who's just be clear about something. Someone who's born in UK, who's only known UK from, for example, an American parent. Would you treat them differently than someone who's born?
No, they should be deported.
Why? He's only never known you. He's only ever known. He's only ever known UK. He comes from a fellow country of America, his parents come from a country that has an Anglo heritage. He is born in UK. He's only ever known UK, and you're telling me you're going to deport this kid to American parents who's only ever known UK? Where?
Actually,
to America?
That's an interesting edge case because I do accept your point that America is much more culturally similar to England than Pakistan. So that is a good edge point, actually. So
wait, no, I want to hear. I want to hear an answer. So this child, I want to hear this answer. This child who has only ever known UK. He's born to American immigrants. He's a UK citizen. You're saying that you will deport him.
I think you're right. That's a good edge case. That's something I'll definitely have to think about because obviously America is a lot more culturally compatible to Britain than Pakistan. That is a good point. I do want to say that in Australia, we deport English rapists all the time. We deport South African white rapists all the time. We deport American white rapists all the time. Like we have a really strict policy of deporting.
We're talking about citizens, Drew. Shut the Drew. We're talking about citizens. And
I've also got a great point here actually. So the Australian High Court has actually found in a case Brendan v. Love. It's a really famous case, actually. They found that indigenous people of indigenous heritage to Australia can never be deported, even if they're not an Australian citizen. So there were two New Zealand guys.
Am I asking you for trivia? I'm not asking for trivia, Drew. Come on, let's talk about something.
I'm giving an example. The Australian High Court. That was basically the Australian High Court saying, okay, in some point cases, ancestry does actually influence these questions. If you've got 20,000 years of ancestry in Australia, you can't ever be deported. Of course, that makes sense to me, even if you're not a citizen.
So you said it was an interesting question, an interesting edge case. If an American immigrant has a UK child in the UK and he commits some sort of heinous act,
actually, you know what? That's Andrew Tate. That's actually literally Andrew Tate. Andrew Tate is literally the child of an American migrant in Britain. And to be honest, he actually should be deported from Britain. So that's actually a good case. I agree with you. I agree with you.
So you're telling me that even if a child who was never known any other country, you're going to send them to the country that their parents were from?
Well, I don't think that Andrew Tate has assimilated to English culture, so he should be kicked out because he did.
So this is my problem with that. So in general, you're introducing such subjective criteria, in my opinion, that it is granting massive powers to the state to abuse. In one case, talking about the state to determine cultural assimilation after the decision to hand over citizenship has already occurred. I don't trust the government with that power because I think they can apply it in an ad hoc way. Like you just said right there, there's no really guiding principles like, oh, is he fully assimilated? Is he not assimilated? At the point after you've given the citizenship, I think that's much too broad. And I wouldn't want to do that. Yeah.
You know what? You're right though, that the number one thing it should be making citizenship so much harder to get so that we don't have to have these big questions, of course.
Okay, so can we
go
back
to... Why do you think that people shouldn't just be prosecuted and jailed in the country that they commit the crime in?
Because if you're a migrant to a country and you commit a rape, that is such a heinous offense against the host country that generously welcomed you in. And I want to say this, right? My family, Greek Australian migrants to Australia. If Greek Australian migrants to Australia were doing this in Australia, I would want all of them deported, and I'd say they're not my co-ethnics. I fucking hate them. Get them out of the country.
Yeah, I don't. So for example, you agree that the vast majority of Pakistani British citizens do not commit these heinous acts, correct?
Yeah, and so if they're not if they are patriotic and they don't carry out crimes, then they can be British citizens. Of course. There's nothing wrong with it. But by virtue of the case, the very moment that you participate in a rape gang, or you literally carry out terrorist acts, or you advocate terrorism, that very moment you've literally basically spat in the country that took your family in, and therefore you should be fucked off.
What about assault?
Yep, that's bad too. Of course, should be deported.
What about theft?
I think yes, theft as well. I think if you're a migrant to the country or your family and new migrants to the country, you have a special responsibility.
So this protection of citizenship, because you're basically saying like this protection of citizenship is now wafer thin. Now the government can decide for whatever class it wants.
But why do you think that citizenship should be this kind of like this like? Okay, this guy's become a citizen. He hates the country. He's carrying out rape gangs, but we have to let him be in the country forever.
No,
why?
Because you would necessarily be obligating a bunch of other countries to deal with the people that you're expelling them to once you no longer feel like dealing with them, even though they're native-born citizens of your country.
I agree. Pakistan should deal with the Pakistani grooming.
But they're not. Wait. No, but they're not. They're not citizens of Pakistan.
I don't care. They should be sent back.
What? But they're not going to accept them.
They should put pressure on the Pakistani government to accept them.
But like they're stateless. They don't belong there. They don't know that country, right? They're not part of that culture. They might not even speak the fucking language. And they're going to say the same thing.
They should have thought about that. They should have thought about that.
They didn't make. Wait. The Pakistani government is going to say no. We're not going to take these people.
I don't care. Put pressure on the Pakistani government.
Wait, no. So this is an inherently, I think, chauvinist and Western centric, and frankly, no. I think it totally is. You're basically saying you're basically whoa. You basically said these are all the shithole countries that we can put our yes, that's what you're doing because you're treating them differently. You're saying UK is a very special place. Pakistan's very whoa. Pakistan's a very shitty place. Wait, Drew, listen to what I'm saying. So you basically saying this other country, Pakistan, which doesn't know this people, they're not citizens of Pakistan. They have to endure you sending the subset of UK citizens who have like some heritage going back there, and they have to accept the rapists, murderers, and thieves and take them back, even though they have no connection to this person other than the parent was connected to that country.
What? Okay. Let me explain. If somebody carries out rape, murder, assault, by virtue definition, they're scum. So why is it Britain's responsibility to accept criminals from other countries? It just is not their responsibility.
They accepted that responsibility once they granted them citizenship.
And that was wrong. The politicians who did that at the time were wrong.
But they were babies when they were, so no one knew in advance that this one guy was going to grow up to be a fucking rapist. He was granted citizenship, and you just agreed this is the problem, right, Drew? You agree that the vast majority of this group, call them Pakistani UK citizens, don't commit these heinous acts, and so and in general they're integrating well and they're being productive members of the society. Wait a second.
I think there's overall massive problems with integration. But at least they're not the vast majority are fine.
Okay, you say the vast majority are fine, and so you said they shouldn't have been granted citizenship. Well, that doesn't really make sense because they wouldn't have known not to grant this. There's not like precog people who are deciding that these are the people who are going to grow up to be rapists that we can denaturalize them.
The rape gang situation has actually got 30+ years of history.
You're not listening. You just said the majority of this group is okay, and you don't in principle have a problem with them being granted citizenship. Is that right?
Okay, but let's say this then.
So they wouldn't know in advance. They wouldn't know in advance not to grant them citizenship because they didn't have precog, and they're not able to predict that this little baby is going to grow up to be a fucking grooming.
Okay, fine then. We can accept that standard. Only on the condition that if they do grow up to do those things, then they should be kicked out.
No, why?
Because why? It's not Britain's responsibility to have a Pakistani gang.
The fuck it's not. When you grant them citizenship, they're your responsibility, and Pakistan has no connection to this person.
Then if it's Britain's responsibility because they gave them citizenship, then maybe it was maybe then it was a mistake to have the citizenship in the first place.
But you just said, right, like in general, right, this is going okay because the Pakistani people, you don't have a problem with them.
I'm not sure if it's going okay. I'm not sure if it's going okay. There's obviously massive problems with assimilation.
Should there be a rule that makes it harder for Muslims to get citizenship in Britain?
I wouldn't say Muslims in particular. I'd just say anyone who's coming from a non-Western country, there has to be very strong evidence of assimilation before they get citizenship.
So if you engaged in this sort of behavior in Australia and there was a government that felt you should be denaturalized and deported, where should they send you?
Well, dude, if I was waging war against Australia or I'd be deported, of course.
Answer the question.
But where to? Where are they deporting you to?
Probably.
Why?
Cyprus. My family's. Because, if I was not Australian, if I hated the country, I was waging war against the country, either doing terrorist attacks or gang rapes, then why would I be in Australia?
No, but are you a citizen of Cyprus?
I think my parents have citizenship. My brother has citizenship.
Okay,
you might get citizenship.
No. So
right now,
no, you're not.
You're not a citizen. I think you would know if you were a citizen of Cyprus.
But I actually accept. If I were to be doing what those Pakistani gang rapists were doing in Britain, then I shouldn't be in Australia. Of course.
No, but like, okay, so let's say that they decide, all right, Drew.
Because I judge people. I judge people based off their actions, whether it's criminality or terrorism.
So Drew, in this hypothetical, you do some heinous act, and they're like, "Okay, you're no longer Australian. We're going to deport you." And they say, "All right, let's bring him. Let's send him to Cyprus." And Cyprus says, "Wait, what the fuck? We don't want this douche. He's not a citizen. Now what?"
Well, honestly, if I was committing war crimes in Australia, of course I should be deported.
I don't know why you keep saying war crimes, by the way. Like, what war?
No. Like, if you're, I think honestly, like, for example, the guys who did 7/7, the guys who did the bomb.
No, you were talking about rape. What's the war crime in like the grooming gangs?
Well, I actually think it's almost like it's almost literally like a declaration of war on the host country. If you're a migrant carrying out rape gangs against native British people, it's basically a declaration of war on the host country.
Okay. Can we go back to
one more thought? Yeah. Wait. I have one more thought experiment on this. So let's say that the Likud party decides to, and like Ben-Gvir or Smotrich.
We should go on to Superman after this.
Well, let's go to Zoran.
The important stuff. Yeah. But after this, the Superman. Okay, so in this hypothetical, the Likud party, like all of a sudden, Ben-Gvir and the Smotriches are running the government even more than they already are now, right? And they decide that Mizrahi Jews in Israel are not really that Israeli compared to like Ashkenazi Jews within Israel. So if you had an example of a Mizrahi Jew that engages in this sort of criminality that you're outlining, a grooming gang within Israel or something, and Ben-Gvir says we need to deport them back to the Middle Eastern country from whence they came, you would support that?
No. You know what's actually funny? Ben-Gvir himself is Mizrahi. Honestly, the most hardcore right-wingers in Israeli politics are Mizrahi.
It's always a thought experiment.
It's a hypothetical. It's a hypothetical. You're fighting the hypothetical. The hypothetical was presented. Answer it.
Okay. Listen, I think that is a different situation simply because because the Mizrahi Jews were basically subjected to ethnic cleansing across the Arab nation states. So there's no actual matter to go back to. It's different. If your family migrates to Britain from Pakistan, you've legally migrated. That's different to Mizrahi Jews who are ethnically cleansed from their home state.
But okay, it's different. But why is it different that it affects the outcome here? Because in both cases, they don't have a home to go to.
No, that's where I disagree with you. So if you have legally migrated to the country and you're not facing like intense persecution or whatever, you do have a home to go to.
No, we're giving an example. I don't know why you keep fucking fighting the hypothetical. The example is you're a natural born citizen of the respective country, and you just have heritage from the place, right? That's what we're talking about. Is you're a natural born. I'm
telling you I'm telling you the difference between
in both situations. So in both situations, they're both natural born citizens. So don't fight that aspect of the hypothetical. And in both situations, they don't have a home to go to. The Pakistani who was born the British citizen with heritage with heritage in from Pakistan doesn't have a home to go to, and the Mizrahi Jew doesn't have a home to go to. They're both the same, right?
I actually disagree with you there. I think Pakistani Britons who've gone to Britain as part of a legal migration.
No, they haven't.
They can go back.
Stop fighting the fucking hypothetical.
So what you're saying is that basically, if there's any sort of persecution in your heritage, then that means you should be given extra special considerations. You could find examples of a migrant that becomes a citizen in the UK, starts committing these acts of grooming or whatever, these war crimes, whatever it is that makes them eligible to be denaturalized. Why can't I make the same argument that because they've historically had persecution that they shouldn't be subjected to it?
Okay,
Pakistanis aren't treated very well.
Good point. I'll give you my response to that. If you are a refugee to Australia or Britain or America, you've been accepted on genuine refugee grounds, but then you start carrying out these heinous crimes or you advocate terrorist attacks or whatever, I wouldn't send you back to the original country because I think that's too cruel because you would face persecution. I'd send you to a third-party country.
Wait, but you would do so. But hang on a second. Wait. So
now you're forcing them to take a criminal, and they're not even related to the country ethnically whatsoever. Nothing.
This is
nothing
crazy.
there.
No, that's more moral than sending them back to a home country that would persecute them. I'd just do like the Rwanda plan.
Well, none of this is moral, to be clear. If we're talking about what's actually moral, it would just be that nobody is ever denaturalized of their citizenship for what they do.
Because what's really immoral is people who migrate to a country and then carry out war crimes and carry out terrorist attacks and carry out rape. That's the immoral thing, and it's immoral.
No one here argued that it's moral. No one here argued that it's moral. We just said that if you're already granted citizenship, then you have accepted the responsibility of that person, and they are now under your jurisdiction. You have to deal with them criminally.
it's a crime against the original host country that generously took them in. It's a crime against
no, but they granted citizenship through their rules, right? So the examples we're dealing with.
Obviously, it was a mistake. Obviously, in the case of the thousands of Pakistani men who involved themselves in these grooming gangs, it was a huge, major mistake. Should never have happened.
Wait. So you're telling me that they should not?
There were thousands.
So is it your position, therefore, that the acceptance of Pakistanis en masse of having citizenship was a mistake because of the grooming gang situation? That in general, we should have never granted these people citizenship because of what.
I want to explain. I'm not against Pakistani citizens becoming citizens of Britain. Full stop. Not against that at all. They should have been much more highly educated people. Unfortunately, what happened in real life was they took in the poorest, most rural, feudal elements of Pakistan. People who weren't educated, people who weren't, the best Pakistan was sending, and therefore that's why it was a mistake. It was the quality of the people who came in as migrants.
So you want the host country to extract all of the benefits, but not actually bear any of the responsibility that they've taken upon themselves once they've granted these people citizenship.
But it just makes sense. But it just makes sense. Why is it? No, it does, because why migration, as Pisco said before, migration is supposed to benefit the host country. So why is it otherwise? Nicholas Decker, that
but it's no longer migration once they've been granted citizenship.
Yeah.
At that point, you're a citizen of that nation.
It's called naturalization.
But they only became citizens as a result of a migration process, right? And I'm saying is the quality of migrants that came from Pakistan to Britain obviously was a disaster.
Why? Wait, you said the vast majority don't have this problem with the grooming gangs.
No, actually, yes, but the problem is that even though the vast majority haven't personally involved themselves in the grooming gangs, you see the polling that a large part of this community still have views that are sympathetic to extremism, and still a large part of the community
unrelated to the grooming gangs. So now you're looking at a broad look at
no, there's two things. There's two things here. If you look at polling of the community, a vast majority of them, a huge part of them, have unfortunately regarded this issue as kind of like racist. They say that it's a beat up by British media, etc. That level of sympathy to the people who have involved themselves in British grooming gangs is a disaster. It shows that assimilation.
So by your logic, So by your logic, you would agree that Black Americans should have never been granted citizenship, right? Because they commit much more crime on average than wait. Do you agree that Black Americans? Yeah, go for it.
The difference is that African Americans have always been a part of America for 400 plus years. That's the difference.
Wait a second. They were imported. They were imported as
African Americans.
Yeah, they were imported as in child slavery.
They were stolen and brought here as slaves.
That's my point. Exactly my point. They can trace their history back in America for 400 plus years. So
but it was a mistake, right?
Somewhere else before America.
Wait, but wasn't it a mistake? We should have sent them back to Africa. Wait, shouldn't we have sent them back to Africa?
No.
Why not?
No, dude, no. Because it's 400 plus years of history. They're part of the American nation. African Americans have always been part of the American nation.
Wait. So we shouldn't have sent them back to Africa, even though the decision to naturalize, right? The decision to naturalize, that should benefit the host country, right?
But it's different. It's different.
Why?
They were brought against their will to America as slaves. They have 400 plus years of history.
So
they're part of
a child
culture and history,
and yet a child who's born, right? They didn't ask to be born, right? This is a person who didn't take a volitional act to come to this country. A child born, you're going to denaturalize them, even though they didn't make the decision to come to the UK. They know no other country.
They made a decision. But you know what the decision they did make? The decision they made in the context of Britain is that they decided to become part of migrant grooming gangs, rape gangs against children.
Yeah, for which they should be punished. For which they should be punished in the criminal consent, just like any other white UK member.
But why? How are they just as British as somebody who traces back their history?
What do you mean? What do you mean just as British? I don't know what you mean by when you say the term British. What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that? Answer that question specifically. Don't give me an analogy. Answer the question. What do you mean by more British?
I'm answering. Assimilated into the culture.
So British culture, and you define British culture how?
White.
Like the thousand, no, not just white, but it's 1,000 years of British culture history, of course.
Okay, so the 1,000.
Wait, can I just ask Aaron this? But can I ask this? So if you think, okay, what is British culture if it's not the people who made up Britain for?
Sounds like you're saying it's bloodline. It sounds like you're saying it's bloodline.
A huge part of it is ancestry, of course, and not saying.
So you're saying a huge part of it is huge part of it is genetics. You sound like Nick Fuentes.
No, not genetics. I'm talking about ancestry. England was.
What's ancestry if not
genetics? Just ancestry.
Ancestry is genetics.
Ancestry is.
Okay, can you explain, Aaron? Okay, you don't think that white English people are, I don't know, like the people who made up England for 1,000 plus years? I'm confused.
I don't.
You're the one here who has these like very, very fast and loose terms and conceptions of what constitutes a patriotic person or an American or a British. To me, it's as simple as Were you born? Are you a natural? Are you not? Are you a citizen there? Then you are that thing. You either are or you aren't. It's not. It's not about like whether or not they adhere to certain beliefs or the types of behaviors they engage in. That's always going to be like a philosophical question.
I wanted to. I said they should assimilate into English culture. You said, and he said, "What's English culture?" And you derisively said, "White people." Of course, it's white people. Of course, white people are like the majority English culture.
No, I said he was asking you what it means, and I was saying that I think you think it means that because you keep taking it back to genetics and ancestry and blood and soil shit. I wasn't saying that. I was saying you were saying that.
It's not blood and soil. Of course, white English.
It's not blood and soil. It's just based on ancestry and their genes and their history and like their connection to other lands that are not the country that they're currently a citizen of.
England has been a country for English people for 1,000+ years. So I just don't understand this idea that today we've decided it's no longer.
But you understand you understand that the territory of Pakistan was part of the British Empire, correct?
Yes, sure.
So you have that history there. That's like at least 200+ years of history connecting it to the British Empire.
Britain decolonized. Britain
decolonized. Okay, so that breaks up the history. That breaks up the history. When they became their own country, all of a sudden it's a different. Even though you were willing to grant that there was more similarity with America, even though they broke up as well. So this is a part.
Can I ask you this question? Right?
Yeah.
Okay. I've got a mod, for example, who's Vietnamese. Like, do you think Vietnamese culture is predominantly Viet ethnic people? Of course it is. Of course it is. Vietnam has existed for thousands of years.
So you're biting the bullet.
In response to defining what culture is, you started to appeal to their ancestry and ethnicity.
Well, ethnicity is a big part of it.
Okay, so then
what other part of it would it be? Then
also culture. So I want to make clear.
Culture is culture. Okay, what other aspect of it?
Hang on. Let me explain. I want to make clear, I think non-white people can, of course, migrate to Britain and assimilate into English culture. Rishi Sunak is a great example of that. I think Rishi Sunak is basically, by predilection, his culture, everything.
But if he does a crime, he should be denaturalized, right? Wait. If Rishi Sunak does a financial crime, he should be denaturalized and sent back to India. Fair?
I wasn't talking
about
financial crime.
No. Yes or no?
If Rishi Sunak did a violent crime,
if he beat his wife, if he beat his wife, you would say send him to India. Rishi Sunak.
Well, if he's bashing his
bite
wife,
the bullet.
Grooming gang.
Bite the bullet. No, hit his wife. Send him to India. Yes.
No, I think Rishi Sunak is much more assimilated.
So you're going to do individual case by case to feel like, you trust the government to be like, he's more assimilated. So even though he fits every single category, he's not white, he's from India, they are their own country too.
I actually think.
So are you saying that domestic violence is part of English culture?
No, I'm not. I'm trying to explain to you.
But you said it's a reason that he should remain there.
No. Let me answer. If you listen to Rishi Sunak speak, he sounds like an Oxford-educated English gentleman. So I think Rishi Sunak is almost fully assimilated.
What does that mean? He barely has an Indian accent, or what?
Wait, almost fully. Did you just say the former British Prime Minister, the head of the Tories, was almost fully assimilated into British culture? In what sense was he not fully assimilated?
I said he was fully assimilated.
No, you said almost. You said almost. You said the word almost. You 100% said the word almost. You 100% said that.
I said he's almost exactly the same as an English white person. Obviously, he's not exactly the same because he's not ethnically English.
You're full mask off. You're full mask off, bro. You're full mask off. Let's get back to Zoran. Can we get back to Zoran? Another Indian leader.
I'm confused. All I said in terms of culture, he's fully English.
You said almost
ethnically English. Of course.
No. Let's get the actual quote. I'm actually going to bring up the actual quote. Sorry. I'm going to get the quote.
But let's just clarify this. Do you think Rishi Sunak is ethnically English? Of course not.
Hang on.
He's culturally English 100%.
Drew,
he's 100% culturally English.
Yeah, we're just pausing real quick so I can get the quote so I don't misquote you. Hang on.
Sure.
Wait, did you just say the
educated English gentleman? So I think Rishi Sunak is almost fully assimilated.
What is that?
You said, I think Rishi Sunak is almost fully assimilated. That's the direct quote. I think Rishi Sunak is almost fully assimilated.
I misspoke. Okay, I misspoke. No. I was only. Can I explain? Right? Can I explain?
Yeah.
I was saying that in the context of you saying, what if Rishi Sunak was committing all these heinous crimes, committing violent crimes? I think obviously, if he was just bashing his wife and carrying out grooming, of course he wouldn't be fully assimilated. That's why I said
British. And then Aaron asked you, and then Aaron said, "What, you think that beating people isn't part of British culture? Like they don't beat people? Like the fucking natives don't beat people?"
No. I'm trying to explain to you, right? I think my position, right, is I think Rishi Sunak's fully assimilated as an Englishman. I think it's culturally, he's not ethnically English. Of course, he's not ethnically English. He's ethnically Indian English. He's, in terms of culture, he's fully English. If he was carrying out grooming gangs and rape and violence and all this stuff, then by definition, he couldn't.
So you're, this is the circularity. Therefore, this is the circularity, right? Like you're defining the assimilation in terms of the crime, right? So in that case, anytime.
Yes, yeah, okay. I do think. I want to make this clear. If you are migrant or descendant of migrants very recently, if you commit a crime, by definition,
no. Okay, then isn't it? That's the problem, right? If the crime makes it so that you're not assimilated, a white person who has Anglo heritage and commits the crime by definition. Let me finish it, because you know what you just said. You know what you just said.
Yes. No. But the difference is that a white English person has 1,000 years of history in the country, so you can't deport them.
Yeah,
by the same metric, the Australian High Court found that Indigenous Australians can never ever be deported, even if they're not Australian citizens. They can never ever be deported because of their history, their ancestry to the land. So I'm actually just clarifying. I'm actually taking the same standard of progressive Indigenous thought.
So if those Indigenous people started doing grooming gangs there, they should stay there.
Well, they should stay.
Well, that's literally.
And then at that point, it's not even about the criminality or the conduct that they've engaged in. It's just about this arbitrary connection to the land and ancestry.
It's not okay. This is actually a good point, though.
Let British people rape.
Who are Indigenous,
let them rape.
No, but there is unfortunately it's really sad. It's a terrible situation. There's a lot of really brutal, horrible crime in Indigenous Australian communities. But the Australian High Court has actually found, even if you're not an Australian citizen, if you're, say, New Zealander. So in this case, there were 2 New Zealanders who had, I think they were a quarter Indigenous on their father's side or something like that. They migrated to Australia for 10 years, carried out a crime, then the government wanted to deport them. The government said, no, if you have any Indigenous ancestry whatsoever, you can never be deported.
I don't know why you're yapping about this case, like the filibuster. I don't know why you're yapping about the case. We accept it.
I'm just giving you an example, though. I'm giving you an example. By the same metric, a white English person who has 1,000 years of history in the country can't ever be deported because they're Indigenous to the country. They are Indigenous to the country at the end of the day. They are Indigenous to the country.
Yeah, but the whole.
So I do think indigeneity. I do think indigeneity is a big part of this, of course.
So you're basically just saying, well, because it's legal and because the law defines it as such in Australia, therefore that justifies it. But I'm telling you.
No, I'm not just referring to that law case.
It's an appeal to the law. It's an appeal to the law.
But I'm actually saying the philosophical concept, the moral argument that somebody who has indigeneity can never be deported. I actually agree with that.
Well, it's not a moral argument.
It is a moral
argument to a legal body.
No, I'm not appealing. I'm pointing to the Australian High Court decision, but I'm not saying it's
because
only right
of the
because
law.
The Australian High Court said that. I'm not saying even if the Australian High Court had not said that, I would still believe this. I still think if you're Indigenous, you can't ever be deported.
Okay. All right. Okay. So let's get back to Zoran. I think we're looping a little bit. Okay. So you did seem to say that like America had a different culture, just like Australia, of immigration, where there isn't this kind of inherent connection to bloodlines as perhaps there would be in a place like Poland, a place like.
Sorry, can you say that again? I missed that.
Yeah. Sure. So while we were talking about this, it sounded like you were saying that unlike cultures like in Poland, cultures like in UK, that America, Australia, these are places where immigration is more wound up in the fabric of what makes that country the country. And so if that's the case, then what's your issue with Zoran?
And I want to make clear, I think Zoran's fully American. I think he's an assimilated American. I hate his politics. I do think he's an assimilated American. There's no. I'm not saying I'm definitely against the MAGA people who like deport Zoran. That's not my view at all. I'm against that. I've actually got a Substack article. I know you loved smashing my Substack article. I've got a Substack article coming out in a couple of days where I'm actually going to be arguing that if you look at Zoran's politics and his personality, he's actually fully assimilated. But the culture he's assimilated to in America is a very unique culture. It's white, self-hating leftism. So I think he's got toxic political views and I think he's got toxic racial views, but he is assimilated.
What do you think about that, Aaron?
What's that?
Oh, never mind. Okay. Well, my response to that, Drew, is let's talk about the alternative, the actual voting decision. Okay. So you've outlined, I think. Can I have 20 seconds? I've got to blow my nose. Yeah,
I've got
go for it.
At the moment. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Hope you feel better, man.
No, it's not cocaine. I'm blowing my nose because I've got a cold.
Now I think it's cocaine.
When he gets, I wanted to ask him. We moved on too quickly. I wanted to ask him if he thinks like. So if you have a guy who's 1/4 white English and 3/4 Pakistani, should they be free from deportation and denaturalization?
Yeah.
Like, how do you even start to decide? Because we're already presupposing a ton that people are not like mixed race or mixed ethnicity, that everybody's like 100% or whatever. Because all of his hypotheticals were like, you have 2 parents who have Pakistani background or whatever. It would like, obviously this is like racist and stupid, but already like starts to break down.
Okay, Aaron has a quick. Still more coke. Hope you feel better. It's not cocaine. Oh,
he's skiing.
He's skiing.
He's not blowing his nose.
That Rishi Sunak thing, that was a great. We did a great job on that, Aaron. I just want to say, because you lay down some little traps, little bomb. I really loved that whole Rishi Sunak exchange. Yeah, really appreciated that.
All right, sorry, 1 second. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I got a bit of a cold. Okay.
No worries.
Okay, what's the question?
Okay. Have you ever done coke? That's the question. I'm just kidding.
No, I actually haven't. No, you know what's funny? A lot of people think that based on my crazy shit posts and stuff like that, that like I must be some kind of druggy. But listen, the funny thing is I'm actually like Trump in the sense that I'm full teetotaler. And my answer for that, my explanation for that is actually similar to the Trump explanation. I think he said, can you imagine how bad I'd be if I was on drugs? And yeah, that's literally it.
Okay, Aaron has a question for you, and then we'll go back to Zoran, and then we'll eventually Superman.
Okay. Sure.
Okay, since you already said that you agree with the Australian High Court and the way that they view these things about indigeneity and like being there for 1,000 years prevents you from being denaturalized, no matter what. If you have somebody who's 1/4 white English and 3/4 Pakistani who starts engaging in this sort, and they become a naturalized citizen in the UK, and they start engaging in grooming gangs, that sort of criminality, should they be free from deportation?
Yes, I actually think that, and it's probably just the same principle of indigeneity. That's literally the principle in the Australian High Court case. So that's literally the principle in the Australian High Court case. The Australian High Court case found that even if you're like 10% indigenous, you can never be deported from Australia because of that history you have with the country. And of course, I think
it's like a one-drop rule.
That history, the history being the one drop.
No, but it's not one drop. It's just that you actually do have indigenous ties to the land. I think that is actually the case.
Because of the one drop.
Do you think Elizabeth Warren is indigenous?
Yeah, do you?
Sorry, what'd you say?
Do you think Elizabeth Warren is indigenous?
I don't think Elizabeth Warren is indigenous.
Why? She has one drop.
Why not?
I'm not doing the one drop rule. You gave me a case where somebody's like 1/4, which is still like a pretty substantial portion. So.
She's like 1/14 or something.
Yeah, but then you said even if it's just 10%, it's fine.
Let's look up Liz Warren. Elizabeth Warren's native ancestry.
Obviously, I don't think Elizabeth Warren's Native American. I think obviously I'm not somebody, I want to clarify. I'm not saying that people should be like DNA tested for this shit. I'm not obsessed with this. Like I'm not one of those racial obsession genetic racial people at all. I'm talking about this in terms of ancestry and
you just said if somebody who's 3/4 Pakistani because they're 1/4 white, we need to pay attention to that.
No. If you have ancestry that is indigenous, then of course that comes into it. That's what the Australian High Court case ruled in the Brenda v. Love case.
So this is what it says. The test results, according to factcheck.org, show that according to the report, Warren's test results show that she's of primarily European descent, but also that she has at least 5 genetic segments that are Native American origin at a high degree of confidence. One of these segments is larger than the other, spanning about 4.7 million bases. Another analysis indicates that DNA chunk has a genetic signature one would expect from a person having European and Native American heritage. The total length of all of Warren's Native American assigned segments is about 12.3 million bases, which the report states is about 12.4 times greater than the average in the Great Britain reference population and 10.5 times greater than the average in the Utah population. Bustamante concludes that there is strong evidence for a Native American ancestor roughly 6 to 10 generations ago. What do you think about that?
Well, obviously that's too small. It's like one ancestor 20 generations ago. So I'm not one drop. I'm not one of those fucking retarded one drop people. Of course not. I'm saying you gave me a pretty concrete example where somebody had at least one parent.
Okay.
Yeah, they had one parent who was
one grandparent
indigenous to the country.
Yeah, grandparent, not even a parent.
Obviously becomes a very tough thing when you start going back further and further and further. But my point, this is actually a non-racist point. I'm saying you can be, as long as you've got some indigenous to the title land. I'm not saying
you said Rishi Sunak was almost fully assimilated, bro.
That was an anti-racist point, Pisco. Come on.
I explained myself.
I'm fucking you.
I made it worse.
My actual position, if you don't put words in my mouth, my actual position is that Rishi Sunak is fully assimilated as an English person. Of course he is.
Okay. All right. It was just in the hypothetical version of Rishi Sunak where he beat his wife. You would assume.
You gave me a hypothetical where like Rishi Sunak was doing grooming gangs. Like
I said beating his wife. I said beating his wife.
But if you change Rishi Sunak as a person so that he was no longer like this educated Oxford gentleman who was the Prime Minister of Britain, and instead he was doing grooming gangs, of course he's a different person. So of course in that case it's not assimilated.
I'm deciding one fact of hypothetical Rishi Sunak is that he beat his wife. in that case,
well,
he's still an Oxford gentleman.
Well, if he's viciously beating his wife, then there's a big question whether he's actually contributing to the country in a positive sense.
Do you understand?
What if he non-viciously beat his wife? Just a little smacking around.
You're basically suggesting.
Thank you, Aaron. That's great.
Wait. You're basically suggesting that it's like incompatible with British culture to beat your wife. I just don't understand why that you come to that conclusion.
Because I just think if you're a migrant or a new migrant to the country, you have an extra special responsibility not to ever engage in crimes because you're a guest in the country. You've been welcomed.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Like, isn't it fully consistent with British culture to beat your wife?
I don't think it should be. I think it should be.
No, whether it should be, I mean, there's some bad culture that have bad things. It's just a question of what the culture is. Like, I
don't think British culture is. I think in British culture, it's much less acceptable to beat your wife than say in other countries, that's a fact. That is literally a fact.
I know, but I'm saying maybe that's true. Although I don't know. All I'm saying is it compatible with British culture to beat your wife?
No, I don't think it's compatible with British culture. And if you look
I think it is. I think it's quite compatible with British culture to beat your wife and American culture for that matter.
You think that's British culture? It's not compatible with culture. There are massive public health campaigns run by the government saying never accept this ever. There are tough punishments against this. There are countries where it's legal. Obviously, would you tell me that a country that has it
just because it's illegal doesn't mean it's compatible with the culture?
Okay, but I'm giving you an example though, right? Hypothetical. Say there's a country where it's legal to beat your wife. Do you think that country has wife beating as a more central part of its culture than a country like America, where wife beating does still happen, but it's very much literally illegal? I don't know. Russia, for example, Russia literally decriminalized beating your wife. I think beating your wife is much more amenable to Russian culture.
Maybe I would grant you that comparatively, in this hypothetical, that in Russia it's more compatible. But it doesn't mean that it's incompatible in Britain and also your country, where domestic violence is a huge issue in Australia.
It is a huge issue.
The essence of your argument is that anything that doesn't carry a criminal penalty is necessarily part of the culture. But then it's like saying petty theft is part of a culture because it's not it doesn't always have to be like this very, very severe criminal act because it's a misdemeanor or something.
There are a whole range of acts that are incompatible with, say, English culture. So, for example, I don't think somebody shitting on the street, openly defecating is compatible with English culture. But I don't think somebody should be immediately deported for that act. It's bad. It's really terrible.
So if Rishi Sunak, all else equal, he's still the suave, sophisticated Oxford gentleman, goes and drops a deuce in Trafalgar Square.
By definition, he's not going to do that. He's not going to do that, obviously, because he's an Oxford English gentleman.
Okay. So he would never. By the way,
actually,
it's actually so stupid. British culture.
Can I ask you this, Pisco?
Yes, you can.
Do you think, if somebody migrates to America 2 months ago, right, and then they're openly defecating in the street, do you think that they're compatible with American culture?
Yes.
Why? That's fucked up.
I'll tell you why. Because you want to know the amount of Americans all across the country that get pissed drunk in this country and go and pee and poo in the street, and how many this shit. Have you heard of New York? Have you heard of the people are pooing and peeing everywhere in America? It's gross. It's disgusting.
Dude, it's pretty obvious that it's very much frowned upon in American culture.
Yeah. Okay.
I have no. I have a better one. Before the 1970s in the United States, marital rape was basically completely legal in all 50 states. So would you argue that marital rape was an integral part of American culture and continues to be because of that history? It's been illegal far longer than it was illegal.
I think it's horrible that it was part of American culture. I'm glad that American culture has changed over time. Obviously, 100 years ago, you could probably actually argue that 100 years ago that it was widespread in American culture for that to happen. It's obviously a horrible thing. I'm glad that American culture
it's so widespread it just gets punished now. That's the only difference.
It sounds like you're grounding out culture into what's legal sometimes, and it feels like this is a big circularity problem.
No, but would you accept that obviously in the culture it's frowned upon marital rape? Of course it's frowned upon in America.
I think now probably
but you tied it back to criminality.
Yeah, I think that you're kind of citing the law as opposed.
But do you think are there Hollywood films where they're just normal plot points where it's just somebody casually rapes their wife and it's just normal in the film?
Yeah,
the Wolf of Wall Street. In the Wolf of Wall Street, right before they get divorced, he fucking holds her down and rapes her practically.
And Gone with the Wind as well.
He's presented as a disgusting person for doing that. That's my point.
Okay, and Gone with the Wind, it's celebrated.
Okay, exactly 100 years ago, American culture was different. Okay, that's my whole point. You're actually making my point for me.
Yeah, I think you're probably right that in the modern era, we've kind of, but not fully, by the way. There's a thing called rape culture. There is such a thing as rape culture in America, but all the righties and people who I think you might associate with, they like laugh when feminists bring up rape culture in the context of like college campuses where it does occur.
There is rape culture. There is rape culture in existence. I'd still say that like the majority view in America is that rape is bad. Like there's obviously too much rape in America. There's still too much sexual assault. There's still too much discrimination against women. But I'd still say that the majority cultural view in America is that discrimination against women is bad. Violence against women is bad.
Okay, can we get back to Zoran?
Okay, let's go to Zoran.
Okay, so on Zoran, let's actually talk about the choice here, because you said that he has a bunch of third worldist policies, and you pointed to his previous tweets.
No. I want to clarify. I didn't say that he had third worldist policies.
Third worldist philosophy.
I said his political worldview for 10 plus years has been third world.
And that's because he put the middle finger to the Christopher Columbus statue, because he favorably cited or paid homage to a rap group that like shouted out Muhammad Atta. So there's a degree of separation there.
He was never proud to call himself American until like literally November last year when he started running for mayor.
Okay.
How do you know that?
That's actually fact. You can't.
He's been here since he was 7.
I know, but he had a pretty bad view of America until...
before Twitter, he had a life, and it was on like just like.
Okay, but if you no, but
you know what I mean?
Okay, like I literally went through every single one of his tweets from 2013 to 2019, and I'm telling you, there's not a single.
That doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. Somebody's allegiance or patriotism isn't based off of whether or not they have a Twitter account or whether or not.
Not everyone tweets like you, Drew. Not everyone tweets like you with your fucking hyper national, like fucking pro Western shit.
No, but I'm literally more patriotic American than Zoran.
Bullshit. No, you're not.
Yeah,
no, you're not.
No, you're not.
Fact check true.
Bullshit. No. Fact check false.
Truth, Nick. I'm actually more patriotic American than Zoran.
No. It's not true.
That's actually truth, Nick.
It's actually not true.
I want America to be the great hope for the world. Okay, Zoran.
You want to change America. You want to get rid of. So this is what you want to do. You want to change the 14th Amendment. You want to get rid of that part of the Constitution. You want to make the First Amendment. You want to make it so the First Amendment doesn't matter because you want to punish people.
He doesn't know what that is.
No.
Yeah. You basically want to turn America into like where there's a bunch of hate speech laws. I'm sure where you're like trying to say that anti-Semitism is illegal, just like you want to do. I'm sure.
If we had Drew take a citizenship test right now, do we think he'd pass?
Nope.
Yes, 100%. I've literally read like I read through the entire Oxford history on the United States. Okay, like I love America. I've been obsessed with America since I was a kid. Okay, so yes, I'd easily pass. I know all these facts about America.
Who was the 4th president of the United States?
Okay, obviously Pisco.
Who wrote the Constitution?
You have to give me. Obviously, you're putting me on you're frazzling me. You're putting me on the phone. But we should do a stream. We should literally do a stream where you give me the US citizenship, and I'll literally try and answer it. Give me a couple days.
Erin's pulling it up right now. I bet she's looking at it right now. Oh, you're not. Okay. All right. So, okay.
You shouldn't get 3 days. I'm saying you should do it right now because you just said that you're more American than Zoran.
All right. Let's fucking find an American citizenship test.
No, but Zoran did it. Zoran took his citizenship test in 2018. He prepared for it. So give me a couple days to prepare.
No, but you made the claim that you're already more American than he is. So that's true. Let's put it to the test.
So a bunch of questions.
I didn't say I was more American than him. I said I'm more patriotic about it.
No. You said no. You literally said you're more American.
You literally said you're more American.
Let's just do some test questions. This will be fun.
That's what you said.
I said I'm more patriotic. I said I'm more patriotic than Zoran. And that's true. I love America. Zoran can't say that America is a good country without qualifying by saying we've got a fucked up history. That's fact check true. He's
wait. Australia does that. Australia, they say we have a history that like, and you guys do your whatever to nation. And
I don't agree. No, I don't agree. Yeah, but I don't agree with the self. Like, I acknowledge that terrible stuff did happen, but I don't agree with like in Australia, it gets too ridiculous. Like every single time you land, you go on a plane, right? You go on a plane from Sydney to Melbourne. You land, and then the pilots, the first things that the pilot says on the phone is like, we are landing on stolen land. We acknowledge
they don't say that.
Stolen land. They don't see it. They actually ship that.
I think coupling a love for your country with a land acknowledgement, which is a virtue signal, is still different than saying this country has a fucked up history, but I still love it.
Dude, I'm not kidding. In America, in Australia, they do land acknowledgement every single like.
I know it's a virtue signal, but I wouldn't say that they're less patriotic or because they do that.
Right leftists. I'm not even kidding. They're white leftists. Like they'll try to sleep with an art hoe, like an e-girl, and they'll literally do a land acknowledgement before they fucking have sex. I'm not even kidding. It's that bad in Australia. The land acknowledgement shit is so far in Australia that people are literally doing land acknowledgements before they fucking nut. It's too much, okay? It's too much in Australia. So I'm patriotic. I do acknowledge the bad things.
It's an oral exam.
Let's take a couple of questions. We'll do a couple of questions. All right. What is the supreme law of the land?
Okay, Pisco. I'm telling you, give me a couple of days. I'm going to prepare for the U.S. citizenship there.
The idea of self-governance is in the first 3 words of the Constitution. What are the first 3 words of the Constitution?
Pisco. I'm going to give me a couple of days to prepare for the U.S. citizenship test. We're going to do it. You're friends with me, okay? You're fucking friends with me because I'm in the middle of a 2-hour cold. I've got a fucking cold. I'm not fucking prepared to do the U.S. citizenship this second on Pisco stream.
You don't read the people.
So are you willing to say that at this moment?
I don't read the people. Of course we know. I know.
You did not fucking know that. You did not know that.
I've gone to the Lincoln Memorial. I've seen these things on the. So I know the Gettysburg Address. Okay, so
do it. Four score.
No, because
we'll both do it.
I'm frazzled right now.
Four score and 7.
Give it. 4 scores and 20. But anyway,
and 20.
We're going to do it in a couple of days. Give me a couple of days.
Feel when they're giving this exam. You think they don't feel fucking frazzled?
Give me a fucking couple of days, and I'm going to do it. Zoran was allowed to have months to prepare for his citizenship.
He's a citizen.
I should be allowed a few days.
He was here since he was 7, not just months. He wasn't even studying.
And you said you were more American than he is.
I accept that he's American. I know that he's American, but I'm not
saying
he's
I'm
more American than him.
He's more American than you.
I'm saying I'm more patriotic than he is.
Bullshit.
You changed the claim.
It's true. Okay, let me give you an example, right? You remember when there was that video, and he was eating with his hands, and everyone was attacking him.
Oh my god! You're really gonna soy out about the fucking hand thing?
No. I'm not gonna. That's not my point. I'm not going into the hand thing. The reason I bring that up though is, do you know who did that interview with him though? It was a YouTube channel called Uncivilized. If you go to the YouTube channel Uncivilized, this is the guy he granted his first interview to after he got elected. The Uncivilized YouTube channel has all these top videos going like, the American empire will fall. It will be beautiful. It will fucking fall. He doesn't like, these are the people that he hangs out with. He loves people, all these people who fucking hate America.
Just like fucking Adams hung out with Sneeko, who's an anti-Semite, right?
Yeah, and that's bad. That's bad as well. I don't think that's good. I think it's fucked up. I criticize him for that.
Yeah, okay, so gun to your head. Who are you voting for if you could vote? Adams or Mamdani?
I'd shoot myself in the fucking head.
No, you can't do that.
No, I'd commit suicide. I commit seppuku. I get my fucking.
You have
Japanese
to pick one. You have to pick one.
Into the fucking.
You have to pick one.
Seppuku. I stab myself. In the fucking...
You're dodging. You're dodging. Come on, you have to make. So you're talking.
I bleed out on the ground. I bleed out on the ground like fucking Mishima. Like Yukio Mishima. I bleed out on the fucking ground. I'm seppuku.
Sorry, I should be laughing at you because this is dangerous. What you're doing is dangerous because you're basically interfering with our election. What? You're a foreigner interfering with our election.
I'm not a foreigner interfering in your election. I'm literally American.
You don't even know.
I'm spiritually American. I'm spiritually American. I'm not a foreigner to America. My brother lives in New York City. He's lived in New York City for 5 years. I'm allowed to talk about America.
You're a foreigner interfering.
I'm not. I love America. I love America. The difference
this is the exact opposite of the argument that you made in the first half of this debate, right?
Yes. It looks the exact opposite. That's so delicious. Like I didn't even make that connection. It's the exact opposite argument. It's the exact opposite.
It's philosophical.
That's so beautiful.
It's a mindset.
That's so beautiful. Oh my god.
Yes.
I'm gonna explain.
Oh my god.
You don't need to have an ethnic tie or ancestral tie.
That was so fucking good.
Very true.
Let me explain. Okay. I think that my personal policy, right, is there should be open borders for me as an individual and no open borders for anybody else. So I'm Drew Pavlou. I'm somebody who follows the law. I'm fucking smart. I'm intellectual.
Special rule for you.
I should be able to migrate anywhere I want to go in the world. And no, that's fine. I'm allowed to have one rule for me and one rule for other people.
Fuck you, dude. You're interfering with my election.
It's true. It's literally true, dude. It's literally fucking true. It's literally a truth nuke. I could literally migrate to America tomorrow and I'd be a perfect assimilated citizen. Because I love America. I've read hundreds of books on America since I was a fucking kid. I grew up with a fucking American flag on my wall. I love America.
But you don't know we the people. You're a foreign agent. I want to say something. Wait, Drew.
No, you know what? No, this is the difference though, right? This is the difference. This is the like obviously I was shitposting before when I said like one rule for me and one rule for the other.
Yeah.
The actual difference, my actual intellectual reasoning for this is this, right? Compared to other migrants who wouldn't like the country and think America is this like evil racist empire that has always been racist from birth and should barely exist as a country. I love America, okay? I fucking love America. So that's the difference. I actually like the country. That's what I think. I think patriotism is like literally the number one thing.
Okay.
Grooming gang, but you also love the country still?
No, if you do a grooming gang, you by definition
you don't love the country. Okay, by definition. But
that's true. Okay, tell me, what patriot would be fucking carrying out a grooming gang? Of course not.
Somebody from the UK who participated in this that didn't have, was it like a migrant or a naturalized citizen? You're telling me that none of them were people that were natural-born citizens of the UK that participated?
A key plank of sorry, I got distracted by my chat. Sorry, say that again. Sorry.
You said I'm saying that you're telling me in all of these instances of the grooming gangs, and you said there's new data or whatever that's comprehensively looked through all these examples, that there wasn't a single perpetrator that was a natural-born UK citizen that participated.
Okay, I'll explain what I said. I'll explain what I mean.
Because you said. Okay, you said just doing it means like it's inherently anti.
Let me explain. I think that a core part of patriotism is following the law of the land. So by definition, if you're not following the law of the land, you're not a patriot. And let me say this right? One of the reasons why I should be allowed into America, I was fucking there in a past life. I was fucking reincarnated. I was there by Malcolm. I was standing next to Malcolm X. I was standing there next to Malcolm X when he got shot.
Speaking of civil rights icons, was Rosa Parks not patriotic because she broke the law when she sat at the back of the fucking bus to protest segregation?
No, she was a great patriotic. No, okay, dude.
Why? She broke the law. She broke American domestic civil law.
Okay, dude.
She's not a patriot by your definition.
Are you seriously comparing the legitimacy of the Jim Crow legal system?
No, she's using your logic. She's using your logic.
Because I'm using your logic. So yes, I have to do it.
She's using your logic. You said on a test.
Let me explain. I don't think there's any moral equivalence between defying Jim Crow colored rules.
No, but you said by definition. You said by definition if it was illegal. Just by the way, Aaron could have picked a harder example. Aaron could have picked a harder example. She gave you an easy example.
No. Obviously, I don't think that Jim Crow laws are legitimate in the same way that laws against the rape of children are legitimate.
Wait, whoa. So the Constitution,
states that had them on the books and enforced them did think they were legitimate.
The Constitution.
I believe in natural law. I believe in natural law. I don't believe
that's very convenient. So all your morale.
Very convenient.
Yeah, it's very convenient. So you have natural law philosophy. So now everything that you say is against the law in a universal sense is. So you don't have to actually listen to the law of the country. And so now all this thing about it being country specific goes away because it's just natural law. Drew's natural law.
Yes, Drew's natural law. Do you actually think I honestly support Jim Crow legal?
No, that's not what she. No, that's not what she said. She didn't say you support it. She said using your logic. Using your logic.
Let me explain my actual view. Clearly, a law passed by the British legal system, passed by the British Parliament against child rape is a legitimate law in the same way that a law for Jim Crow segregation in America
is not to be legitimate. It just needs to have been approved by that democratic body, signed into law, and then enforced.
I don't believe in that. I think some laws can be fundamentally evil and immoral. But the laws
I'm descriptively explaining to you how law functions.
I know.
Immoral laws get passed all the time.
We have immoral laws on the books right now.
I know. And democratically. But I'm also clearly talking about normal, I'm talking about laws that nobody would morally contest, like the law, for example.
You're talking about arbitrary moral values.
No, so you think it's an arbitrary
why even have laws, honestly? Like, are you, you said you're a Christian?
Yeah. Okay, let me explain. Let me ask you this, right? Do you think a law prohibiting the rape of children is just only on the books because it's been passed by the parliament? That there's no such thing as there's no moral content to the law. It's just a wishy-washy law, the same as laws that were passed by Alabama in the Jim Crow era. Of course, it's fucking not.
Its legitimacy is granted by that the nation state and the democratic body that passed it, but the motivation for making it illegal, you could argue, is grounded in a moral principle to do so.
No,
it's a separate argument.
during that time, black people couldn't vote in the south of the United States. So of course, these were not democratically passed laws. They were immoral as well.
But that's the whole ticket, right? Because in this discussion, we're like inherently talking about who's part of the club, who's part of the citizenship club, and in the case of like, right, you were basically saying that, well, the Pakistani British people, they should never have been given like British citizenship at all.
No, I didn't say that. That wasn't my exact argument. I said that Britain should have taken in higher quality immigrants from Pakistan, people who are more educated, not people from the poorest parts of Pakistan, as they actually did.
Okay. Oh, I want to go. We have.
So there's no high quality people from the poor parts of Pakistan.
Well, like they obviously had a massive problem with the quality of the migrants they took in, considering there was massive systematic rape gangs that involved tens of thousands, not tens of thousands, but thousands of men, at least thousands of Pakistani men in Britain over many decades, and it was very widespread, and it was very well known in the Pakistani community of Britain, and no one stopped it.
So you should never be judged as an individual. You should it should always factor in the like broad statistical data and population stats.
But it's obviously a disaster. Like if there were if you take in migrants from a specific part of a specific country, and then those migrants from that specific part of that specific country then end up on average being 20 times or like multiple dozens of times more likely than native Britons to participate in this heinous form of crime, one of the worst forms of crime imaginable. And there were thousands of men doing this, and it was really widely known in the Pakistani community. It was also widely known at multiple levels of the British government and widely known by the British police. And no one stopped it for decades because they were scared that it would be considered racist. That's a disaster. That's a fucking massive national disaster for Britain.
Wait, Aaron is not contesting.
There's supposed to be collective guilt for like Pakistanis for that.
No,
should there be collective guilt for white men because there's an issue with white boys going to schools and doing school shootings?
True.
But this is the difference. We're talking about who is indigenous to Britain. We're talking about so clearly, if you're not indigenous to Britain and you're carrying out these crimes, then that's a particularly heinous crime against the native indigenous population of Britain.
Because of blood.
What do you call it when the indigenous white boys do school shootings here?
Yeah, what do you call that?
It's horrible and evil. Obviously, horrible and evil.
Okay. Hey.
But because there's nowhere to deport them to, they get to stay.
They get to stay.
Well, they're indigenous. They're indigenous to the country.
The white boys are indigenous to America.
Dude,
white boy summer. Let them rape.
They are come on, Pisco, that's fucking retarded. Obviously, I think the groups that are indigenous to America, right, have more than 100+ years of history in the country.
Find common cause with Zoran Mamdani. If tomorrow he came out and he was like, I'm really big into like land back indigenous rights movements or whatever, and they want to kick out all the fucking white people, shouldn't you be like, hell yeah, Zoran, because indigenous people were the ones that were genocided. It was their country first.
No, that's not my view either, though. That's not my view either. Because I'm saying, according to my view, white people can also be indigenous.
So what do you think about Israel?
I do think white people are indigenous.
What do you think about Israel's plan to ethnically cleanse Gaza?
Bad. I'm against it.
So you
I criticize the state of Israel's attacks on Syria yesterday. So I actually frequently criticize actions.
I think Palestinians should have the right of return granted to them and recognized by Israel. They're indigenous to mandatory Palestine.
No, not within the borders of 1967.
Why not?
1967 Israel.
Why not? They're from that land.
Because it will just that's only a recipe for endless war.
Wait. But I do want to be clear.
Now it's a pragmatic.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be pragmatic. No, actually, I'm trying to be pragmatic.
Okay, wait. So I just want to be clear about something.
I think there should be two states. I think there should be two states: one Palestinian state, one Israeli state. The Palestinian state should be the West Bank and Gaza, and I don't think that the right of return is realistic because it will lead to endless warfare.
Grant that. Question for you, Drew. It was a disaster to import Jewish individuals pre-World War II into mandatory Palestine. Yes or no?
No.
Why not?
No. Because they were also indigenous to the land.
But wait a second. Hang on. That was thousands of years ago.
I don't care. They still have ancestry in the land. Of course they do.
So, so to be 100% clear, because I think
Jewish people had a right of return to Israel. Of course they did.
But Palestinians don't have a right of return to Palestine.
Well, we're just trying to be pragmatic about the current
very
situation.
Convenient.
Exactly.
Very convenient.
They have a Palestinian state. They have a Palestinian state in the West Bank and Gaza. I don't believe in destroying Israel. Okay, that's a very pragmatic view. Do you really think that endless warfare, jihad for the destruction of Israel is going to lead to anything good?
No, I just think I find it convenient. All I'm saying is I'm doing an internal critique of your kind of philosophy. It sounds like blood and soil matters until it doesn't, and it doesn't matter when it's pragmatic, and then you're willing to abide by all sorts of things that go against the native populations.
The difference is I when it came to the foundation of Israel, What I would have fundamentally supported is the US partition plan, which called for 2 states for 2 different people.
No, we're talking about we're talking about the decision. We're talking about the decision to import. We're talking about the decision to import Jews into.
Let me explain. Let me explain. The difference here is I would be a hypocrite if I said no. If I was somebody who believed in like Greater Israel and the West Bank is Israel and stuff like that, then I would be a hypocrite because of course then that's full displacement of the original people. But that's not my view. My view is 2 states for 2 different people. So I'm not a hypocrite on this.
No. But we're talking even the decision to push for under the Balfour Declaration, under the British mandatory rule, and under the decisions of even for example, you could include I guess the Ottoman Empire in abiding by some amount of Jewish immigration. That was a disaster, right? They shouldn't have done that because it was displacing the native peoples there.
I disagree. No.
So why though?
It ultimately saved millions of people's lives from the Holocaust.
They could It
saved hundreds of thousands of lives.
But they couldn't have known that. They couldn't have known that at the time that was going to happen.
No, we could have because it was at that time there were massive pogroms.
No.
Are you familiar with what?
No, they were.
Do you know how Zionism started?
Yes.
No, they were massive because of massive pogroms in Eastern Europe.
Yeah, there were massive pogroms in Eastern Europe, but they couldn't have known there was going to be you said the Holocaust. They couldn't have known that.
Yes.
And they didn't have to send them. They didn't have to send them to Palestine. They didn't have to go there.
No. Well, that was their ancestral land, so of course they had a right to live in Palestine.
Okay, but you're fine displacing. Yeah.
Explain to me why you're fine with Arab supremacy in Palestine, where they were never allowed to go.
Yeah,
For example, here's a good point, Pisco. Are you familiar with the Cave of the Patriarchs, which is where within the Jewish religion, it's a very holy place. This is where it's considered that Abraham is buried. Now, for 600 years, the local Arab caliphs basically banned all Jews from visiting the Cave of the Patriarchs. Why is that legitimate, dude? Why is that legitimate? Of course it's not.
I mean, I don't think I said it was legitimate.
You think it's legitimate?
I don't think it's legitimate to ban people from. Go ahead.
So if you're arguing that, like, again, persecution entitles you to do some amount of like crimes to be able to establish a homeland for yourself, then if Trump's plan is followed through, and Gazans are ethnically cleansed and expelled from Gaza, could they go on to expel another population from their state to establish Palestine on top of it there?
The foundation of Israel was fundamentally not a crime. Of course it was not. If you buy into that view, you actually are buying into the view that the 7 million Israeli Jews that live on the land today should basically be genocided.
Well, I don't think that. We're talking.
No, of course you think. No, that's the logical view, though. If you think it's stolen land, you think they shouldn't live there.
No, I'm asking you.
It's an internal critique.
It's an internal critique. If you're saying that, again, historical persecution can grant a people the ability to, or like the right to dispossess another population so they can establish a homeland, then do you acknowledge that the Nakba occurred or no?
No.
They did displace, right? Did they displace or yes or no? Did they displace, yes or no? Did they displace?
The 1947
Okay.
The 1947 war was fundamentally a war to annihilate the Jewish Holocaust survivors in Israel. If they had won, it would have been worse than that.
Wait. Why are you referencing 1967?
They would have killed every single.
But we're talking about the Nakba.
I'm talking about 1947. 1947, which is the Nakba. Sorry.
Yeah.
No. So that was fundamentally a war between 2 sides. The Palestinian side, the Arab invading armies, they wanted to ethnically cleanse all the Jews living there. Most of them were Holocaust. A lot of them, a substantial portion of them were Holocaust survivors. Okay, so part of the Nakba is the catastrophe that they weren't able to.
I'm not denying that. I'm saying, does that entitle a people to go on to persecute another population so that they can create their own homeland?
But I don't agree with ending. I don't agree with expelling Palestinians from Gaza today. So that's not my view.
So if they were expelled, and there's a good chance that they could be, would you support if they did that to another nation?
No, I don't agree.
Because they were persecuted.
I'm telling you right now. My view is that there should be a Palestinian state in the West Bank and Gaza, and I don't agree with attempts to expel people from that land.
Okay, well I think.
Okay, but if that doesn't happen and they resort to doing that, would you support their movement for self-determination and expelling other populations to do it?
You're saying that I don't get what you're
I'm not saying anything. I'm asking.
Would I support Israel expelling all the Palestinians from Gaza? No, I don't support that. So
no, but they might do that. You acknowledge that probably will happen, right?
I don't think it's probably going to happen. I also think it's bad, and I don't want it to happen.
Okay, but if it does happen, hypothetically, then from there, do you support Palestinians dispossessing another group of people so they can establish a homeland because they were persecuted?
fundamentally believe in a two-state solution.
That's not what you were asked.
You won't answer it. You won't
So let's.
I'm telling you,
because you'd either have to grant that, or you'd have to say you don't agree with Zionism.
No, that's retarded. I'm not going to say that I don't agree with the expulsion of Palestinians from Gaza. That's my full view. That's my view. Full stop. That's it. I'm not going to then engage in hypotheticals. Oh, then the Palestinians can go.
Do you think Zoran is? Do you think Zoran is anti-Semitic?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. And the core reason.
No, even though he was just hanging out with Sneeko like 2 weeks ago, smoking cigars on the porch of fucking Gracie Mansion. You think it's bad, but do you think it's anti-Semitic?
Yes, it's anti-Semitic that Eric Adams hung out with Sneeko. Of course it is.
Okay.
But I do think though.
But that's an acceptable level of anti-Semitism to you, though. And it doesn't make him an anti-Semite because you said you would consider voting for. You would vote for him over Zoran.
No. I didn't say it's an acceptable level of anti-Semitism. I think it's wrong what he did. I'm telling you though, Zoran's anti-Semitism is much more virulent. He said that the number one reason he got involved in politics, full stop, the number one issue was because of Palestine. His entire worldview is about trying to remove Israel from the land. That's 7 million
being
people
pro-Palestine mean being anti-Semitic?
No. It's not necessarily anti-Semitic.
You just said that. You just said because he got into politics wanting to advocate for Palestinians that he's as an example of him being an anti-Semite.
No. But it's not that he just wanted to advocate for Palestinians. In general, just advocating for Palestinians, theoretically, there's nothing wrong with that, of course. It's that it's coupled with over many years, he was just disassembling when it came to Intifada. He refuses to condemn the claim that globalizing the Intifada is bad. We all know what the Intifada is. The Intifada was hundreds of suicide bombing attacks against Israelis, okay? And he can't say that Intifada is a bad thing. So therefore, he's anti-Semitic. Therefore, that's a hint that he thinks that Israel should be destroyed.
Okay, with Americans that want to get involved with like public service and become like a politician, and their motivation being that they want because of Palestine. That's okay.
I want to make it clear as well. I think if an American politician said the number one reason I want to get involved in politics is Israel, I think it's fucked up as well.
Like Ted Cruz did. As well. Like Ted Cruz did.
Yeah, that was fucked up. I literally condemned that. I said that was fucking retarded and crazy. Of course it's bad.
Would you call him? But would you like call him like anti-Muslim because he said that?
I don't know. It's like Christian. It comes from
an Islamophobe.
It comes from Christian dispensationalism. It comes from Christian dispensationalism. It's kind of like that American.
I know, but I know, but Zoran could say something like it doesn't come from anti-Semitism. It comes from anti-colonialism or some other shit. You know?
Yeah, but he says that he basically says that America is a colonial state today. He thinks that all Western countries are essentially colonial states today, and that they should all be dismantled. So that's where there's that third world influence, and I think that's horrible. I mean,
part of that is just true. It doesn't follow that they should be dismantled. But part of it is true that we're a settler colony.
Okay, do you think that America is a settler colony today?
Yes, we were founded on being a settler colony.
Okay. So you two are both not American citizens. Instead, you're settler colonists.
Well, don't let Pisco in with what I just said. I'm just saying that's
what was your question? Is America what?
Okay, I asked: is America a settler colony today? And if it is, are you therefore a settler colonist rather than a citizen?
Is it a colony itself?
No, is America a settler colony today?
Are you asking if it's a colonialist or a colony?
Do you think that America is a settler colonial society in the year 2025?
Let me think.
Of course it's not.
I mean, the existence of America was founded on that. It wouldn't exist were it not for that. So its continued existence is kind of always going to be part of it.
Drew, I'm gonna give you an answer. I think while Puerto Rico and some of these other territories with the significant populations continue not to have full and equal rights, Guam and others,
Samoa,
then I would say to some extent yes, much less so than before. I think it's a spectrum. I don't have this kind of totalizing view of it, but
I want to qualify. I wasn't even necessarily talking about the Pacific Island territories or Puerto Rico. I'm talking about like the actual claim that like it's a settler colonist land because it's taken from Native Americans.
That's its heritage. But at this point, I think claims get stale over time. And again, I don't really take this view of history anyway, of like settler colonial and that it's like necessarily this or that. But if it does describe what occurred in America. That historically, that is what happened.
And you agree with that, right? And you don't say that it should be dismantled. You could just say it should be improved and liberalized.
Right. Yeah. I think.
Okay, but the difference is this is the difference, though, right? Like my wallet. Okay, my wallet last week was stolen. You might have seen my tweets crashing.
Your what was stolen?
My wallet was stolen in Australia the other day.
Was it an indigenous person?
No, I don't. No one knows who did it. No one knows who did it. Okay. No one knows who did it.
Almost assimilated.
No one knows who did it. Okay. I don't know who did it. Nobody has found the person yet. Okay.
Yeah.
So my wallet got stolen from my car. I lost they took my bank card. $1,000 was taken. They took my beautiful copy of Robert Moses, the Power Broker, which I had bought from Amazon for like $60 and had shipped to Australia. I was so fucking pissed. I lost my wallet, which
it was Bond philosophy.
I had to get a new driver's license. It cost me more than $1,000, right? They took 900 of my bank cards. So my wallet was stolen.
Yoink.
When I say that my wallet was stolen, it implies that it was taken from me and it should be given back. Correct.
I don't know that it does. And
when you say that something's stolen from somebody, you're making an implicit moral claim that it should be returned. I think.
No, it should be acknowledged, and then like ideally that would be like the best form of justice, right? But from there, if that can't be done, then it should be like it should be rectified in another way. You can settle it from there.
For example, with a voice.
I don't think the voice would have done anything.
But you support this new anti-Semitism framework that's being considered in Australia?
I haven't read into it enough, but I've seen a lot of the retarded anti-Zionists have
you can't.
Oh my god!
Just watch with the R word because watch the R slur because of his TOS. I don't want to do that.
Oh, okay. I didn't even realize that.
Yeah.
I
also,
it was fine.
It's necessarily what it means. Like if I sue a company successfully for wrongful termination, it's not guaranteed that I'm going to be hired back to the company. What's more likely to occur is that they will acknowledge that I was wrongfully terminated, but then from there I'm granted a settlement based on that acknowledgement.
That's true, but it is also still the case that if you look at a lot of like the sort of post-colonial rhetoric from these people who talk about America being total islands, occupied nation, and stuff like that, a lot of them are saying that it should just basically. They literally.
Who wants that? Wait.
What does
Zoran want to unwind?
Does
he want to unwind the American government? Who wants to unwind the American government?
He wants to be part of the American government.
I don't know, but if you look at Zoran's views, though, does he actually? What's his conception of America?
Yeah, he wants to be mayor of New York City. New York City, by the way, you know that there were a bunch of American Indian claims, because this was American Indian territory, New York, and it was
it was sold to the Dutch. It was sold to the Dutch.
And it was like a crazy abusive sale, crazy abusive process. It's a lot of sordid history there. Zoran is participated in that aspect of settler colonialism just by being and acknowledging the legitimacy of New York City. And there's no world in which he's going to like try to give it back. I mean, that's just not going to happen. So you're fear mongering on some bullshit that like is not ever a realm of possibility.
No.
Also, you don't just go off of what Zoran has said. Because you already attributed to the fact that like him appearing on a YouTube channel meant that he probably endorsed everything that was on that YouTube channel because you said they have crazy things. So that doesn't even come down to what they've said and believed.
It wasn't even that YouTube channel in particular. I was pointing to dozens of tweets that he's made over the years where he basically expresses a lot of contempt for America. He expresses a lot of contempt for white Americans in particular.
Wait. No,
but it's like you've opened the dam once you've said that speech that's not his can be attributed to him nonetheless because of a collaboration.
That he bears responsibility for the collaboration.
But let me just explain. That was just one data point among many that I was pointing to. The YouTube thing. That's one out of like 100 different data points. If you actually look instead,
well, then if that's true, then within that argument, why did you have to say that it should be that speech should be attributed to him?
I'm just saying it's interesting who he chooses to associate with. But what I'm really saying is, if you look at all the tweets that he's made over hundreds of different tweets, there's all these tweets where he's expressing cold contempt towards white people as inherently all of them are racist. He thinks that America should be demographically transformed. He doesn't think that borders are legitimate. Then all these. So then you ask, okay, what do you actually believe in? If you believe it, do you really believe in America? Zoran, what's your conception of America?
I think this is a crazy standard. Like if this was the standard, well, first of all, I'm going to apply the standard right now to Adams, and I'm going to say the following: Adams hates America. Adams is doing bribery and abusing his office when he was borough president for the benefit of Turkey, and then when he was mayor as well. I'm going to say he hates America. He did a corrupt deal with Donald Trump, who hates America as well because of his anti-constitutional framework, saying he's going to support ICE, which right now is doing all this kind of like denial of due process, all that shit. So I think Adams hates America, what America stands for, and the choice really is between him, Cuomo, and Zoran. And between those three, who are you going to vote for?
Okay, I actually already said that I commit seppuku. I don't have to defend everything.
Wait, and also, if you're the company that you keep, how do you explain that Zoran Mamdani not only had support from Jewish constituents, but he also has Jewish people that are advisors to him?
So true.
Oh, so nice true. Space.
They're only.
So those Jews don't count. Those Jews don't count.
The only Jews that he associates with are really hardcore anti-Zionists. That is literally factually true.
That's not true. Brad Lander is a liberal Zionist.
you say that Brett Lend is a liberal Zionist, but he associates with people who say globalized intifada. So I don't think he's really a liberal Zionist.
So now you're doubting the sincerity of Brad Lander being a supporter of Israel?
I don't think. How is Lander a supporter of Israel? He's constantly supporting people who hate Israel and want to destroy Israel.
No,
so how's Lander a supporter of Israel?
He's a Zionist. He doesn't agree with the government of Israel, but just because you don't agree with the government of Israel doesn't mean you don't like Israel.
But it's not just Zoran. Like Lander has a history where he's over many years he's endorsed all these people who've said that Israel should actually be destroyed. So I don't think that Lander can be pointed to as like,
did Lander endorse that
Israel should be destroyed?
There were multiple other extremist Islamist type candidates.
Okay, name one.
Left people.
Name one.
You don't know.
Off the top of my head, I'll take that question on notice. I'll take that question. If you want to give me a minute or two to research it, I can. But I'll take that question on notice. I do remember reading about it. Can't pull the name off the top of my head because I can't remember every single person that Lander's ever endorsed. But I know that he did previously endorse people.
And we know that he's a self-hating Jew. He's one of the bad ones.
I didn't say he was a self-hating Jew. I said that.
Wait, this is a good point from the Citizenship.
But a fact check true statement is that he actually did endorse people who have called for the destruction of Israel before. That is fact check.
How do you deal with this criticism from Blonde Philosophy? Zoran doesn't associate with any Zionists because associating with Zoran means that you're not a Zionist.
But it's not like he wants to make any like good faith attempt to reach out to Zionist Jews.
What about Brad Lander? He's a Zionist, but you're saying he's not because he associates with people like Mamdani.
But no. It's not. I'm not saying Lander's not a Zionist because he associates with Mamdani. I'm saying Lander has for many different years, basically endorsed multiple candidates for government for aldermen and all that sort of stuff at the New York City council level and stuff like that. People who have had really extremist views calling for the destruction of Israel. That is true. I'm going to research this actually.
Yeah.
And Eric Adams has hung out with Sneeko, who's a massive anti-Semite.
I think Eric Adams is bad as well. I'm not endorsing everything Eric Adams at the time.
I know, but you're saying you're being a little bit of a. I think that you're criticizing Mamdani definitely more on Twitter than you are Adams, and I think if we're
on his record too.
Yeah.
It's not just his actions; it's his record and things that he's done.
Beautiful. Okay, beautiful. Brad Lander has aided boycott movement against Israel. Beautiful. There's all these he supports boycott, divestment, sanctions. He supported all these different things that basically aim to dismantle Israel as a state.
No, he doesn't. No, because they disagree with what Israel's doing, not because they disagree with Israel.
It's not that he just disagrees with what the government of Israel is doing. It's actually that he's actually supporting people who want to dismantle Israel.
The whole point is to pressure Israel. The whole point of that is pressure Israel to stop. They do they cite the South Africa situation, right? As their as the comparator.
I don't think that's legit. But dude, the BDS movement even advocates boycotts on leftist Israelis who are anti-Netanyahu and anti-Israel. So it's literally at the end of the day a movement for the destruction of Israel. If you're not even willing to, that's a key difference between the BDS movement and South Africa. The global left were working with left-wing Afrikaners and left-wing white people who wanted to dismantle the apartheid state in South Africa. But instead, the BDS movement and the whole anti-Zionist movement is constantly saying every single Israeli is a settler colonist. Look at what Baden Panada did. I'm not saying that you support Baden Panada, obviously not. But if you look at Hassan, here I can explain, right? Hassan Piker sits down with Baden Panada. Baden Panada is somebody who's repeatedly said that even the people who were killed in the kibbutzim on October 7, the left-wing anti-Zionists, the people who were critical of the Netanyahu government, all of them are justified military targets because they were set.
Yeah, we don't agree with that.
What's the point of this?
Hassan Piker sits down with Baden Panada, endorses all that, and then Zoran is willing to sit down.
So because you're sitting down with us, do you endorse everything that we believe?
But it's not that Zoran was doing a debate with Hassan Piker. They were sitting down together, friends, putting their hands around each other's shoulders, saying we're best mates. It's not like they were doing a debate.
That whole conversation wasn't like that. He pushed back on him at different points.
No, there were barely any pushback. They're obviously friends. They obviously like each other. It's so obvious, dude.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so because I don't think so. He's watched him and stuff like that, but I'm saying that the difference is that Hassan went on to Noah Samson's channel and he didn't stay live on his own. He was not interested in platforming him. I think he only did it because he wanted to participate in the fundraiser for Palestine with Noah Samson.
Wait, you're talking about Baden Panada. No, Hassan has actually outright said that he agrees with He's actually fully endorsed Baden Panada's YouTube
channel. I just want to know that he's fully endorsed him, but I'm sure that they agree on stuff because he's watched his videos and I'm sure he agreed with points they made.
But Hassan's appeared with him, promoted his videos.
What I'm only challenging is this idea that just sitting down with somebody and not having a very uncivil debate means you endorse everything that they say.
Dude, Dude, Bad Empanada and Hassan, I watched their whole stream. They were literally joking about making my future son a janissary. Now, the janissaries were basically Greek children and Balkan Christian children who were stolen from their parents in the Ottoman Empire and forced to be like they were castrated, made soldier slaves, like to the Ottoman state. And they were laughing about this and ha 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 ha.
Yes, so, and then they said we shouldn't talk about this anymore because he's just going to stream about it for a bunch of hours and it's going to be the biggest day ever for him. And then you did that, I bet.
No, but I mean, you watched the whole thing. Therefore, you literally watched the whole thing. They were basically sucking each other's cocks. They were sucking each other off in that fucking debate. They loved each other. There was no pushback at all. They fucking loved each other. So they sucked each other off.
There was the biggest point of contention was that Ben Empanada doesn't give a fuck about including anti-Zionist Jews in the coalition because he says you're legitimizing the perspective that like you need like a Jewish alibi to validate the perspective. And Hassan was saying that he didn't see it that way, and he does think that they're an important part of the movement.
Yeah. Hassan's really willing to work with anti-Zionist Jews. That's so true. Even though he's literally endorsed like the fucking Houthis. The Houthis, of course, literally have cursed the Jews in their fucking logo. So Hassan is somebody who's just got such a beautiful, open heart, where he's willing to work with all these different groups.
That's not what I'm saying.
I know. I'm just saying. Obviously, Bad Empanada is a full-blown extremist. There were Haaretz writers. You know Haaretz, of course. Haaretz is the left-wing Israeli outlet that's very critical to the Netanyahu government. There was a Haaretz writer who, on October 7, was literally in a kibbutzim with his two kids who were like 2 years old and 3 years old, plus his wife. He was in one of these kibbutzim. Hamas guys were literally right outside that guy. This guy did an interview with 60 Minutes America where he talked about his experience. Bad Empanada tagged him on Twitter and said, "I hope next time you get fucking killed with your toddlers." Okay, and then Hassan sits down with Bad Empanada and they go, ha 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 ha, let's talk about how much we hate Israel, blah blah blah. Oh yeah, you're 1% more extreme than me. Oh yeah, we have a 1% disagreement, but here's me sucking you off for 3 hours. And then Zoran sits down with Hassan and they just have a buddy talk for 2 hours. So there's a fucking unbroken chain of causation where Zoran loves to hang out with people who are not just critical of Israel and human rights.
So I'll give you an example. So Adam sat down with Sneeko. And then you know who Sneeko sat down with? And you know who Sneeko. Wait.
But you don't call him like an anti-Semite that needs to be kept away from public office. You think that people should vote for him over Zoran.
Whoa, Drew, wait, 1 second. Wait, answer this question. Who did Sneeko sit down with and go buddy with?
Yes, Eric Adams, which is horrible.
No, because you did the Hassan to Bad Empanada. Who did actually Sneeko sit down with and be buddy with? Not the candidate. Who's the third party?
Yeah, Eric Adams. And I'm
no. His name is His name is Nicholas. His name is Nicholas. His name is Nicholas. Wait, let me finish. You know where I'm going. Wait. You know, his name is Nicholas Fuentes, but you would never say, would you, that because Eric Adams sat down with Sneeko, that he endorses Nicholas Fuentes, correct?
Well, the difference. Okay. It's wrong. It's absolutely horrible what Eric Adams did.
No, I asked the question. I asked the question.
At the end of the day,
I asked the specific question.
Eric Adams doesn't want to dismantle Israel, and 7 million people get marched into the sea.
Okay. I asked a specific question. I said, would you attribute to Eric Adams the policies and politics of Nick Fuentes? Would you?
Okay. Tell me what the difference is.
Would you?
Okay. Let me ask you this, right?
Oh no, you're not answering.
How big is the gulf? How big is the gulf between Zoran and Hassan Piker in terms of politics? Hassan Piker loves everything that Zoran is doing, and Hassan Piker has literally explicitly endorsed Hezbollah, Nasrallah, and
you're not answering. I asked you a question, which is, you wouldn't attribute, would you, the politics of Nick Fuentes to Mayor Adams because he sat down with Sneeko, who sat down with Nick Fuentes?
It's different, very different, very different. The difference is that Hassan Piker is literally. I mean, fuck, dude. You know who's fucking Sneeko endorsed? Sneeko
I know that.
Fucking Zoran.
I know.
Zoran, and then Zoran's campaign disavowed him and banned him from any event.
Okay, cool. That's great. They didn't disband. How come they didn't disavow Hassan Piker?
Eric Adams, when asked why he did that, he said he didn't know him. He didn't disavow him or anything like that.
Okay. I think that Hassan Piker is as anti-Semitic as Sneeko. Fact check true.
What?
Do you agree or disagree?
No, I don't agree.
Disagree.
Okay.
Sneeko is like a Holocaust denier.
Sneeko's a groiper.
Dude, what's the fundamental difference between the groipers and the Hassanabiites? The Hassanabiites want to death march 7 million Israeli Jews into the sea.
If you said Hassan agrees with everything that Zoran Mamdani wants, then Zoran Mamdani has said, when asked the question, do you think Israel has a right to exist? He says, or as a Jewish state, he says it has a right to exist, but not as a state based on ethnicity. So I favor equal rights for all Arabs and Jews in the region.
Yeah. We all know that Zoran is just saying that because he's running for election.
Convenient. And we all know that Eric Adams is just saying whatever he's saying just because he's running for election. And we all know.
We all know that apparently Lander endorsed like an Islamist candidate, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I found it. So like you've got photos of like Brett Lander with like Linda Sarsour, all these extremist people, all these really hardcore extremist people.
Okay. Well, can we get on?
Beautiful. Okay, this is good.
Okay, I just thought that Drew, who was saying that people should be able to be denaturalized, is calling somebody else an extremist. This is the guy who we're going to listen to define extremism. Everybody,
I'm an extremist. I think Pakistani gang rapists in Britain should be deported. Okay, that's really extreme.
You're so right.
80% of people agree with me. You think 80% of the British population is extremists?
You're
if they agree with you on that, then yes. If they agree with you that they should be denaturalized as citizens because they commit crimes, then yes, 80% of the British public is extremists.
Can I ask you, why is the hill that you want to die on the citizenship of Pakistani gang rapists in Britain? Why is that the number one issue for you in politics? It doesn't fucking make sense.
Why did they make them citizens?
You're framing.
It was a disaster. It was obviously a fucking mistake. It was obviously a mistake because they carried out gang rapes.
Yeah, it's a very mistake it's obviously a mistake to naturalize brown people is what you're saying, right?
No, I said specifically the people who carried out gang rapes.
No, but they were naturalized before they carried out gang rapes.
Dude, if it was Greek Cypriots, literally if it was Greek Cypriots doing this in Britain, I would say the same thing.
Okay. I want to move on now. So you're saying that you wouldn't make a decision on who to vote for in the mayoral. You have critiques of everybody, right?
I said I would seppuku myself. I said I'd get a sword, I'd get a samurai sword, and stab myself in the fucking chest, and just wait until I fucking bleed out, like seppuku.
If you don't endorse another candidate, Zoran might end up winning, right?
Yeah,
if you really, really want him to not win, you have to advocate that people vote against him and vote for another candidate. So who are they going to vote for?
I'll lay down my life with Eric Adams, even though I think Eric Adams.
Oh my God! Even though Eric Adams is corrupt. Even though he
sits down with anti-Semites.
Listen, Pisco. I didn't say I agree with everything he's ever done. As I said previously, my family in Greek Cyprus probably.
As you said previously, it doesn't matter because if you speak positively of them, or if you compliment them, or if you associate with them, then you basically endorse everything that they've ever said or done. That's your standard. That's your standard for what counts as endorsement.
I said to you that Fuck, sorry, I got distracted.
You're good.
What I said to you is this. Say it again. Sorry, I got distracted by the chat.
Said you're trying to distance yourself from Adams's most pernicious views and behaviors, but I'm saying it doesn't work that way because by the standard that you've laid out in this conversation, it doesn't matter that you haven't explicitly endorsed those things because if you're throwing material support behind them, if you're endorsing them, if you're saying people ought to vote for them, if you've spoken positively of them, then you're endorsing everything that they've ever said or done.
Two things. Okay. One, the Turkish corruption stuff is bad. Look, my family was Cypriot dhimmis for many years under the Ottoman yoke. So I understand sometimes when the Turks are fucking around, you have to fucking bend the rules to fucking survive, okay? It's not perfect. We don't want to have to do that. But look, we all know sometimes you have to fucking make deals with the Turks. Okay, that's number one. Number two.
Fuck you. He was accepting bribes, and then he did a corrupt deal with the Trump administration. And he hung out with anti-Semites. He hung out with two anti-Semites. Two. Count them, two. And those people hung out with.
Perfect?
Wait a second. And
did I say he was perfect?
And those people.
Okay. So just perfect, okay? He's not perfect. He just hangs out with neo-Nazis.
Okay,
that's your definition of a lack of perfection.
I think Hassan hangs out with Hassan is a neo-Nazi essentially. Hassan hangs
out with neo-Nazis, but you know that he doesn't do that.
Hassan Piker, after October 7, he couldn't say that babies were not military settlers and therefore not military targets. So Hassan Piker, in his heart of hearts, wants to see all Israelis ethnically cleansed from the population. That's the difference between Eric Adams and fucking Hassan and Zoran.
Then why does he endorse Zoran, who says, again, equal rights for all citizens?
I don't believe in what he says. I don't believe in what he says. I genuinely believe in my heart of hearts that Zoran, in his heart of hearts, would want to see Israel.
Okay, I have a question for you. Drew.
If Zoran's lying about his platform, then why are you scared of him instituting national grocery stores or trying to raise the minimum wage? Because it's all a lie.
I'm not scared about that. I don't even give a fuck about the grocery stores.
Because you don't give a fuck about the city. Because you don't give a fuck about the city. Because you don't give a fuck about any of this. Because you're just signaling. You're just virtue signaling. You don't give a fuck about New York City. And you want to saddle us with a fucking corrupt mayor because of fucking Hassan.
No. Let me explain. I actually like his policy. I like free buses. I like public transport, all this stuff. I'm literally a social democrat. I grew up as a Bernie Sanders supporter. I literally support all the economic stuff. I almost support all the economic stuff. If you just cut out the hatred for white people and the race communism and the hatred for like fucking Western civilization, then I'd support Zoran, okay?
Okay, I have a question.
Should Hassan be denaturalized?
Oh yeah, should he?
No, I don't think that. I think he's an
Why
American.
not?
Why not?
Why not? He's Turkish.
Why not?
Turkish heritage.
I think he's similar.
Wait, what do you mean? What do you mean?
Yeah. You just said that he endorsed Hezbollah, that he endorses
Hassan
Hamas,
Piker.
he wants to destroy Israel.
Sorry, I thought you were talking about Zoran. Yes, Hassan should be.
He should be deported. Hassan Piker should be denaturalized and deported to Turkey.
Yeah, Hassan Piker is not an American. He hates America. He wants to kill Americans. He celebrated 9/11, dude. He celebrated 9/11. He's not an American. Fact check true. Truth nuke.
Okay.
Clip this up and post it around. Clip it up and post it around. It's literally my view.
Dude.
We will. So who does Farrakhan lead? What's his organization?
Farrakhan lead. Sorry.
Louis Farrakhan. He leads an organization.
Yeah, Louis Farrakhan. Nation of Islam fucked up. It's horrible. Eric Adams.
So why does Eric Adams support the Nation of Islam?
Let me explain. That's retarded. It's fucking psycho. But I don't.
Wait. Why does Eric Adams support the Nation of Islam?
Let me explain. That's fucked up and psycho. I think Louis Farrakhan is fucked up and psycho. I'm just saying, at the end of the day, I don't think Eric Adams wants to kill all Jews in Israel. And I think that Zoran ultimately endorses policy
supports
that
people that do.
He supports the Nation of Islam.
No. Zoran hangs out with people who want to kill all Israelis. Like Hassan wants to kill all Israelis.
Wait. You think Hassan wants to kill all Israelis?
Yes. Or not killed, maybe ethnically cleansed, march them into the sea, death marches, all that sort of stuff. A lot of them would be killed. Probably, if Hassan Piker had his way, they probably would kill all 7 million Israelis. They'd probably kill like 1 million, and then 6 million would be forced to flee.
Do you want to kill all Palestinians?
Me? No, of course not. I want a two-state solution.
Do you support Israel?
I support a two-state solution.
Do you support the state of Israel right now?
I support the state of Israel's right to exist. I don't support all their policies. Of course not.
So do you think that Israel should stop doing what they're doing right now?
Yes, I think that the war in Gaza should end at a negotiated settlement. I do think that.
Okay. Let's touch real quick on Superman. But let's not touch on spoilers.
Yeah, we haven't even got to Superman.
So no spoilers, all right? Let's not touch on spoilers that much, okay? This was a ironic article, right? Because you have a lot of shit posting done. This was irony, right?
No, but it's
hilarious.
I genuinely believe it. It's funny. Obviously, I employ humor in my argument style and my writing, but I do genuinely believe it is an anti-Semitic film. Yes, absolutely.
And
I'll explain it to you.
Okay, I'm not going to get too
very clearly. He's going to explain it very clearly.
Very clearly. Okay. Don't get into actual plot points. Just get into like the.
Okay, I'll try keep it to the themes. Okay. Keeping it to the themes. The vast majority of people who watch the film are going to understand that the evil US ally in the film is supposed to represent Israel. They're fighting a war in the Middle East. They're an American ally fighting a war in the Middle East. It literally is a Middle Eastern context. The civilians that they're assaulting are very clearly depicted as Arab Muslim. Most of the women are wearing hijabs. I remember I was watching in the scenes in the film. Most of the women that they were assaulting were wearing Arab headscarves, hijabs. So
it was an Eastern European country.
This is where I understand the backstory in Superman. Baravia was first invented in the Superman universe.
Yes.
But this is the thing. They obviously rewrote it significantly because let me explain this to you, right? Baravia is supposed to represent. Baravia is a neighboring state to Jahadpur, correct?
Yes.
Okay. We see them massing on the border. It's a desert setting, correct?
I guess it looks like it. It looks like it
is Eastern Europe. Are there deserts in Eastern Europe? No.
I'm not sure about that.
I'm pretty sure this shit is canon. He didn't come up with those states or shit.
Well, I don't know about. Wait, is Kazakhstan? Does Kazakhstan have deserts?
Not Middle Eastern style deserts. There's sand dunes, dude. You can watch the movie. It's literally. It looks like Iraq. It's sand dunes.
I'm just gonna look up. Are there deserts in Eastern Europe? I don't actually know this, so maybe you're right.
Dude, there are no standard deserts in Eastern Europe. There are no deserts in Eastern Europe.
So, Drew,
it's grassland. It's steppe.
Drew, in that scene where the soldier points a gun at like a child's head, did that remind you of Israel or what?
It's supposed to be Israel. It's based on all the worst. It's based on all the worst.
If you care about Israel, you probably should not say that.
Okay.
You probably should not say you're reminded of Jews, of Semitism, of Israel, of Zionism when you see a soldier pointing a gun at the head of a small brown child.
Serbia has according to Google, Serbia has deserts. There's deserts in Europe. It says here.
Oh my god, you both are being so fucking stupid right now. Okay, one, there's no deserts in fucking Eastern Europe, Pisco. Stop being fucking retarded. We all know there's no deserts in the Eastern Europe.
The Delabito Sands is a large sand area covering 120 square meters of ground in Serbia.
You know what he's thinking when he thinks fucking desert. He literally means like the pyramids and shit, a sphinx and sand. That's what he means.
Oh my god, dude. Yes, we all know there are great sandy deserts in Eastern Europe. So fucking true. Okay, that's number one.
No,
number
you don't care about the actual definition of desert. You just have this. You have literally a caricature in your head.
Oh my god, this is so. Dude, by the same definition that you're using of a desert, tundra can be considered desert. Fucking ice steppe can be considered desert.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Am I talking about
because that is the definition of desert?
No, it's not. My God, this is so stupid. Are you kidding me, dude?
What do we do this? Wait. What do we do? Editor. When you do the edit,
that's a different claim. Like the Middle East, I'm saying it's a desert.
Editor, when
it qualifies the fucking desert.
Editor, when you do the edit at this point, editor,
it's a fucking desert with sand.
Editor, when you do the edit right now in this part, I want you to put all of the deserts right here in Europe, okay? And we can compare, and then put right next to them.
Drew is like a pharaoh. Drew is like a pharaoh. Pisco is like a sphinx.
I want you to put the Moravia Jahanpur desert, and I want you to compare the most similar desert in Europe, okay? I want you to put them right there, and we can see who wins.
This is one of the dumbest things I've ever heard.
Where was it filmed? Wait, where was it filmed? Whoa, where the fuck was it filmed? We need to find this out, guys. Where was Jahanpur filmed? Jahanpur. If it was filmed in Europe, you're fucked. I really hope it was.
It's not filmed in Europe. There's no fucking deserts in Europe.
I just want to know where it was filmed.
Pisco, you said it was about Kazakhstan?
No, Serbia. They said Serbia. There's some.
I'm gonna kill myself. We're actually trying to pretend that there are deserts in Europe. I'm gonna kill myself. This is fucking ridiculous.
Where was Jahanpur filmed? We need to figure this out, guys. We need to figure this out.
I'm looking up too.
Oh, primarily at the studios in Atlanta, Georgia. Are there deserts? I guess there's deserts in Atlanta, Georgia. Filming also began in Norway. Is Norway in Europe?
The desert scenes aren't set in fucking Norway, dude. Are you kidding me?
Listen, I'm just trying.
It's so obvious.
I'm just reading the Google.
Have you seen a photo of the Norwegian countryside?
I'm just looking. I'm trying to find out the filming. People are saying there are deserts in Europe.
Can you get a photo of a desert and put it up on the screen just so people can fucking look at it?
He's using the colloquial understanding of desert. That's what he means.
He means the
Sands, camels, pyramids. That's what he means. Brown people
with hijab.
With hijabs, yes.
Wait. There's a link.
It's cactus.
Desert setting. The women are wearing hijabs. Everybody looks Middle Eastern. It's Middle Eastern. It's so obvious. If you have to pretend that's actually, I don't know, like that's actually Norway. Come on, dude.
A different point. The geographic location is hardly just the thing that's making you think that this is supposed to be like anti-Semitic or whatever.
Wait, Aaron.
But I'm trying to. Okay, that was the first part of my argument. My first part of the argument is that it's so obviously supposed to be Israel. And you said, oh my God, when you see somebody point a gun at a small brown child, you immediately think of Israel. That's not my argument at all. That's not what I was thinking. Instead, what I'm saying is this.
I asked you about that.
Aaron,
I'm familiar. Let me explain. I'm familiar with all the narratives about how Israel is evil. I'm familiar with all the left-wing narratives because I'm on Twitter. I see it every single day, right? So if I'm familiar with like the way Hassan Piker sees Israel, which is that the average Israeli just picks up brown people every day and just eats them for lunch. then that's how the film presents it. Okay, it's supposed to be.
I think it's a self-report. I think it's a self-report. By the way, I'm looking at a desert.
No, it's not. It's literally not.
I'm looking at a desert from Russia, and it's looking pretty desert-y. I'm just saying, it looks like a desert.
Yeah, because you're looking at like Central Asia. Are you familiar with the fact that Russia has parts of Central Asia in it?
Okay, but it's a Slavic nation.
You know that there's a European part of Russia and there's an Asian part of Russia, dude.
Dun. But Spain has a desert, they say. Okay, but can we agree that the main villain isn't Moravia? It's Lex Luthor, and it's not like Moravia's in control. It's Lex Luthor.
But this is my whole point, right? The entire film shows Lex Luthor doing everything he possibly can for Moravia.
No.
He says
the exact opposite. Exact. Wait. Sorry.
Okay.
Real quick spoilers. Wait. Guys. Real quick spoilers for the next minute. I'll wave my hands like this when the spoilers are over. Okay. I'll wave my hands like this. Go ahead.
Okay. Sorry. Fuck, I got distracted by you waving your hands. Well, sorry, say it again more quickly.
Okay, the Lex Luthor is the driving villain behind everything.
Oh, okay. So I'll explain this, right? The entire film, he's doing everything hand in hand with the Moravians. He brings the literal leader of Moravia to the interdimensional space prison where they fucking torture Superman together and shoot the brown guy in the head, and they're both laughing. They do everything together, hand in hand, right? And then right at the end, he just turns the camera and is like, "Oh, and by the way, it wasn't Moravia at all. I'm the one in charge."
No. You're wrong. You're just wrong. You didn't watch the movie. You just didn't watch the movie because
I watched the movie.
No, because the entire film is building up to that point where they like don't understand why he's doing these military deals, because guess what? They're not the ones making decisions. Where he's setting up all of these false scenarios for the specific purpose of hunting Superman, not for like the Moravian purpose, where they literally are talking about how it's a side deal for him before that part.
It's not a side deal.
It's a side deal. It's a side deal.
Dude, they say that he's doing it because he wants to take half of Gaza.
No, oh my! First of all, it's so funny. You said the map looked like Gaza. In your fucking review, you were like, "This looks like Gaza." It doesn't look like Gaza.
Dude, when you look at a map of Gaza, you see the curve of the Mediterranean coastline. It's on the ocean. There's a curve, dude. It's a curve in the fucking ocean. It looks like the Eastern Mediterranean curve of the sea.
I want to say a phrase to you, and but I can't say it because it's US. And also, you amuse me, and so I don't want to say it. But like, I am feeling such hatred for you right now because you know it doesn't look like Gaza. You know it, and you.
It does, dude. It's an enclave. I'm not even kidding, dude. Okay, let me explain it to you, right? Okay, we see the map. There's the curve of a coastline. It is an enclave on the coastline. And that's the exact.
It's much wider. It's much wider than Gaza. And I find it interesting.
I know that.
But wait. I find it interesting.
Oh
I find it interesting that in your. I find it interesting.
I'm getting a prop. I'm getting a piece of paper. I'm going to draw out.
Yeah.
He's getting a sword. He's getting a sword.
Okay, since we're just talking about geography. All right, guys, we're just talking about geography. See his picture of Canada? It has a coast, Pisco. It has a coast that curves. Editor, right here at this point, I want you to put Jahanpur right here, and I want you to put Gaza right over there, and I want to show you. Don't worry about what Drew's drawing right now because it's gonna be bullshit, and it's just gonna show a curve of a coast. I want you to actually put the map of Gaza right here, and then I want to put Jahanpur right over there to see how fucking different these two things are. This will be great, editor. All right, you can put it right here.
Making the editor work.
Yeah.
I'm.
No, editor, don't draw penis on my forehead.
What's happening?
I don't know, but I sent you a DM with a desert.
I showed it on my stream.
Oh, nice. There are deserts in Cyprus where Drew comes from. Cyprus is a member of the EU and uses the euro. Same is true of Greece and Turkey, which famously have deserts. Editor, put up the Cyprus desert right here.
But are the Muslims there? Pisco?
Oh, true.
Okay. Let me explain to you this very
clearly. All right, no plot points. We're done with spoilers. This is just geography.
Okay, geography. Okay. So let's look at a real life map of, like, a rough map of Gaza, okay? You have the curve of the Eastern Mediterranean coastline, you have Egypt to the left of Gaza, and then you have like the enclave of Gaza itself, and then Israel surrounding it. Then let's look at a map of Moravia, Jahanpur, right? There's the curve of a coastline. There's an unidentified country to the left of the enclave. Jahanpur is presented as an enclave, and then you see Moravia surrounding it, which is it's almost the exact same kind of geographical thing. Obviously, it's not the exact one-to-one, but it's actually pretty roughly similar, don't you think?
No, I think that's insanity. I think that anyone who looks at the maps of Jahanpur, like if you look at the map of Jahanpur,
the Mediterranean coastline.
You're soying out like the coastline. Like what? I don't know what you're talking about. They're very different countries. One is much bigger. One is much wider.
Hang on, my camera's mirrored. I've got to fucking fix this so that people can properly see this.
So if it didn't have this geographic outline and similarities to Israel and Gaza, then you drop the whole thing about it being anti-Semitic Goebbels to your propaganda. If it was that, if that was the main difference.
If it's not about Israel, then it's not anti-Semitic. But the problem is, it is very clearly supposed to be Israel. And then if you just consider all the things that Israel, the stand-in for Israel does in the film, they're showing oppressing their allies. They're showing engaging in false flag terror attacks inside America.
Plot points.
Blow up all these. Yeah, they're helping blow up buildings. They're working with Lex Luthor, and Lex Luthor is willing to literally blow up the entire universe with a black hole. It's like,
to do what he wants. To do what he wants. To do what he wants.
Dude, they're portrayed as being part of a cosmic scale conspiracy.
Wait. Is Jahanpur landlocked?
Multiple dimensions.
Is Jahanpur landlocked?
No. It's on the sea. You can see it. You can see it's on the sea. So this is the real life one. Egypt. Fuck it, my camera's mirrored. So I'm trying to fucking change my settings so I can show everybody without my camera being mirrored.
Okay. What if the map of Jahanpur was established before the film? Would that change your mind?
Okay. Well, according to the canon. Okay, according to the
canon. I asked you a question. Wait, if the map were made before, I'm just asking a question. I don't know if it is or not. I don't have that. I don't have that own ready. I'm just like, if it were made before, would this critique go away?
Maybe. However, we know that in the canon, it's supposed to be Eastern Europe. We very clearly see that it's not an Eastern European setting that they're invading. It's so clearly not Eastern Europe. It's how Hollywood typically, conventionally Okay, you know the stereotype of how Hollywood portrays.
Wait, it is landlocked. It is. Wait, it's landlocked.
Wait.
It's landlocked.
No, it's sea.
No, it's landlocked. No, it's Markovia. Wait, no. Okay, Aaron, I want you to show this. Can you share the screen, Aaron? Hang on a second.
Yeah, link it.
Okay, here. Aaron, I'm showing this to you.
Remember when Israel manipulated Lex Luthor?
Dude, they are portrayed as being part of a cosmic scale conspiracy to enslave all of humanity. They are. That's how the film portrays it.
Wait, are you sharing screen, Aaron?
Oh, wait, that's what you want me to do.
Yeah, could you mind?
Well, I'm trying to fucking... Why is it doing this? There we go.
Yeah, okay. I think it's literally landlocked, dude. I think you're fucked. I think you're actually fucked.
Dude, if it's Eastern Europe, why is it in a fucking desert?
But I think you're fucked because I think it's literally landlocked.
Hang on.
It's landlocked, bro.
I'm sharing it.
It's Markovia to the north. That's not a sea.
No. Go to my Substack. I got a better picture of this. 100% better picture.
No, but look at this picture, right? This is from the movie. This is from the fucking movie.
Okay, but I took a photo in the cinema. I literally had the
camera.
Know,
but do you acknowledge this is from the fucking movie? This is from the movie.
Let me show. I can't see. Where?
Go to share. So look at.
I shared my screen on Discord. Check.
Okay.
It's landlocked.
Please. Okay. Go, please.
Wait, this is from the movie, right? Wait, I know, but this is from the movie.
Okay. It's interesting that they portrayed the landlocked with the color of the blue sea.
No way you're doing this right now.
It's true.
No fucking way you're doing this.
It looks like the sea.
No.
It's an easy mistake.
No way you're doing this, bro.
Look, they make the fucking color blue.
It's landlocked, bro. It's landlocked. Your whole argument was blue. You're not doing this to me. You are not. You're doing this.
It looks like the sea.
You're not doing this to me, bro. No, come on. You're saying now
please go to my Substack. Look at the photo I took. From my perspective, it looks like the sea.
Wait a second.
The cinema, look at the sea.
Dude, wait a second. So your whole argument was the curve of the water.
But it looks like the sea. It looks like the sea. Pisco, you can so easily mistake it for the sea because it's fucking blue.
The curve of the water.
Blue, dude.
And it's another country because it's in the blue.
Please come, it's blue. Why? When you make a map, why make the adjoining countries blue? Unless you want to make it confusing.
I don't know.
Because it's fiction.
It's blue, so it's blue.
They made it blue. It looks so. If you mistook the blue country to the north as the sea, it looks the exact same as the fucking Eastern Mediterranean coastline. For fuck's sake.
Luthuria is also in blue. There's two countries in blue, so it can't just be that they're trying to because they're
designed to be confusing. It's designed to be confusing.
This is insane. I can't.
I think that's a self-report. Only to Zionists is it confusing.
If the movie is in Eastern Europe, why is it in the fucking desert?
But no, your argument was about the curve of the Mediterranean, and we just found out that Zoran pours.
Okay, I thought it was the. Dude, it's because they put the fucking country blue. They put the country north of Zoran blue, so it looks like the fucking sea according to the map.
Okay, Drew, I watched your video.
Go to my subject.
I watched your video reviewing this.
Look at this photo. Look at the photo. Please look at the photo that I took from my perspective, from my seat in the cinema. It looked like a fucking sea. Fuck's sake.
Drew, what are your top 3 movies? What are your top 3 movies?
Tree of Life by Terrence Malick, Mishima, The Four Seasons. What else? What else? Let me check my letterboxd. I'm a Kino guy. I love my fucking Kino stuff. Okay.
It looks like Gaza because of the curve of the Mediterranean. Oops, wait. It's just because the country
it looks like
blue.
It looks like it. It looks like it. Okay. It looks like it. Fuck, dude. Why make it blue? Why make it fucking blue?
You wrote a whole article about it.
It's so obvious. Go to my article and look at the photo that I took from my seat in the cinema. It looked like the fucking sea. So sick of this, man. Oh, the other one, No Country for Old Men. That's a fucking great film.
That's a good movie.
Okay.
Great film.
Do you like any movies with political themes?
Yeah, I do, of course.
Okay, well, why did you say in your Superman review that you didn't want any politics in your movies because you're just trying to enjoy a story?
Because it's fucking Superman. It's a fucking slop movie, okay? It's not an art house film.
You're a massive hypocrite. You're a massive hypocrite. You're a hypocrite.
No, it's not an art house film. It's not an art house film. It's a slop movie. I don't like Marvel and shit like that anyway. Look, go down. Look, okay. Stop. See the photo.
You used the same picture, Drew. You used the same picture.
You covered up the country line. You covered up the country line.
I'm gonna get it off my phone. Hang on. Fuck's sake, man.
Oh,
it's actually fucking torture.
This is amazing.
Nobody understands me.
It doesn't look at all like Gaza, dude. I don't know what to tell you. Like, look at it.
Dude, the photo that I
took in the cinema. Different.
It's that the script probably originally called for Moravia to represent Russia, with Moravia's leader representing Vladimir Putin. Why are you arguing this so hard then? If you literally have an alternative hypothesis for what it's supposed to be.
See, that's just the sign of my intellectual honesty that I could actually entertain an alternative hypothesis. I do think that they probably when they were producing the film like 3-4 years ago, they probably started out saying, let's make it about Russia, Ukraine. But then over time, obviously, the themes, it's obviously a very politically charged message to make it, you both know how Hollywood portrays the Middle East very stereotypically. There's sand, there's hijab, there's, the brown sand.
I would suggest that they're actually bigoted against Muslims, not Jews. That's the opposite of your point.
You think that the film is bigoted against Muslims and portrays Muslims as a hero?
No. You just said that Hollywood depicts the Middle Eastern people and like Muslims in Middle Eastern areas stereotypically using desert, sands, brown people or whatever. That speaks to a bias against Muslims and against Islam, not against Jews.
No, but the film's not biased against Muslims and Islam. It's not at all.
It's a hybrid of Ukraine and Gaza, hence the blue.
Okay, from where I was sitting in the cinema, okay, and I took the fucking photo, they made a deliberate choice to make the country directly north of Moravia on the fucking map blue, so it looks like the fucking sea. Okay, Pisco.
Okay.
Okay, explain this to me, right? If it's not supposed to be Israel, why is it this is the most cartoonish part of the whole film? Okay, Pisco, you can wave your hands again for plot spoilers.
Spoilers.
Okay. Please go back to my Substack for a second, please. Aaron, please, can you go back to the Substack?
What do you want?
Sorry.
I didn't know you were showing it.
Okay. I'm just excited. Okay, this is literally the most on the nose part of the whole film. Okay, so this guy is presented as a hero. He's like this Arab streetcar vendor in New York City.
Oh my god!
He's like a halal streetcar guy. He helps Superman up to his feet when he's like brutally hurt. Helps him up with his feet. Says, "I gave you falafel."
Don't go here, Drew.
As a hero, right?
Drew, don't go here. You're basically saying if they show a Muslim in a good light, first of all, you don't even know he's Muslim, but if they show a Muslim in a good light, it's anti-Semitic.
No, dude. No. I'm saying it's anti-Semitic to present the main villain who's supposed to be a stand-in for Israel, picking up a random brown guy.
That's what you're trying to prove. Wait, no, you're trying to prove that it's circular, right? So you're begging the question. The whole point is, how do you show that it's Israel? And you're now assuming, as part of how to prove it's Israel, the notion that the guy who's the stand-in for Israel, that's part of your proof that it is Israel. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's begging the question. It's circular.
Okay. But would you accept though, right? Would you accept that if Moravia is supposed to be Israel, and then they have the leader of Moravia stand there while Lex Luthor shoots a random Arab guy in the head, and then they're just laughing, going, "Ha ha ha, we hate
this."
Arab
okay,
people.
I'm gonna read from your Substack. I'm quoting Drew.
Yeah.
I mean, the subtlety of it all is just genius. They literally pick up a random Arab streetcar halal vendor off the street and then shoot him in the head and laugh.
Yes,
the message is Israel is evil. The white/Jews hate Arabs. Only a toddler could not read this subliminal message or hear this dog whistle. You got mad at me for saying that if you care about Israel, do not say that when you see depictions of brown people being brutalized and have guns at their head, to say, wow, this is just like Israel. This is fucking anti-Semitic. You're doing that.
No, I'm saying that it's a caricature of Israel. I'm saying this is how the opponents of Israel see Israel, okay? This is how they think Israel acts. And then in the film,
you're not the opponent of Israel, and you clearly see parallels.
No, I don't. I'm just saying this is the propaganda against Israel, and they're trying to use all the propaganda against Israel. The exact same themes, the exact same talking points, the exact same tropes.
The tropes of an Arab man saying, "I gave you free falafel."
No,
I don't think he actually said that.
The choice. Okay, explain to me the choice of the director, right? Why is it that the stand-in, the guy who could? Okay, let's just say you reject my hypothesis, but at least admit that some people could see it as Israel. Okay, correct?
Yes, obviously.
Some people could see it as Israel.
Okay. A lot of people, like at some point, will say this is the best anti-Israel film ever made. Okay. Some people see this as Israel. Okay. Would you say it is anti-Semitic to have the guy who some people could see represent Israel in the film? They just literally stand there and shoot a random brown guy in the head and just laugh and go, "Ha ha ha! We hate the Muslims." Like, come on,
no. What you just said is so. What you just said is so. You said because some people might view it as Israel. It's anti-Semitic for the director to have this choice because some people might view it as Israel.
No, therefore, it could be.
It's a dog whistle, dude. It's a dog whistle. It's literally a dog whistle.
It's literally a dog whistle. I don't get it. How is it a dog whistle?
How is it a dog whistle? The character representing Israel that 90% of viewers will perceive to be Israel, like stands there while Lex Luthor abducts a random Arab streetcar vendor off the streets of New York City and then shoots him in the head, and then they laugh. How is that not the most on the nose, like Goebbels tier propaganda against Israel?
This would be like somebody arguing that depicting Hamas in a fictional story is anti-Palestinian. Come on, man.
No, but dude, you've literally got the stand-in for Israel in the film. They just abduct a random streetcar vendor who's Arab, and then they just kill him because they hate Arabs. That's the most obvious. It's so fucking on the nose, dude. It's so on the nose. Come on, let's say the roles reversed. Imagine the evil person in the film is dressed up with a keffiyeh on the whole time, and then they pick a random Jewish guy off the streets of New York City who's dressed as a Hasidic Jew, and they just shoot him in the head. Would you say that's anti-Palestinian?
It depends on the context.
But you just linked it to a keffiyeh, but there's no sorts of there's no Jewish or even Israeli like symbols or imagery in this movie.
He has the exact same accent as Netanyahu.
No, he doesn't. No. It's a Slavic accent. It's not.
Have you heard Netanyahu speak? He
has
a gravelly
many
voice.
times. Yes, we have. No, they're different.
A gravelly voice. Gurkov in the film has a gravelly voice. It sounds so similar.
But do you actually think
making somebody sound like Bibi Netanyahu and their evil is anti-Semitic? You must only portray Bibi Netanyahu favorly in good light, otherwise you're a fucking anti-Semite.
So you're admitting it's supposed to be Netanyahu.
No,
we're not. Picks up an Arab off the street and just shoots him. Okay, this is a real serious question. If the leader of the evil country in the film was wearing a keffiyeh or was portrayed as an Arab Middle Eastern man, and then in the film they picked up a random Jew off the street who's portrayed as a good guy, and they pick up this guy who's dressed as a Jew and he looks like a Jewish guy, and then they just shoot him in the head while cackling and laugh, would you say, oh, this film has a bit of Islamophobic undertones, it's portraying brown and Middle Eastern people as evil? You would say that. 100% you'd say that.
I don't know that I would. I think it would depend on the context.
Oh, you would.
It would depend. It would depend on how it was used in the story.
Yeah, I would. I mean, Muslims are portrayed as villains a lot of the time. I don't really give a shit.
As if you don't give a shit.
Wait, you said as if I don't. No. Wait, there's a difference between a Palestinian or a minority being portrayed as a villain versus a criminal. When they consistently depict them as criminals and criminals only, and that's the start and end of their character development, it usually gets into like bigoted territory, very, very stereotypical territory, very, very quickly. When you have a complex villain, and they happen to have similarities between these things, that it's not always, then that's different.
Thank you for making my point for me. Is the character development of the evil villains in this film played out at all? No, it's not. It's literally like
that's against you. But that's against you. Yeah, it's against you because
it's just fully cartoonish.
No. You just fuck yourself because you just said that they don't spend a lot of time dealing with the Barovian motivations. That should go to against your point. The notion that they're behind everything.
It doesn't because they're just portrayed as the generic avatar of all evil.
No, Lex Luthor is portrayed as that. Lex Luthor wants to kill Superman.
Baravia is tied in to Lex Luthor the entire time.
I know, but Lex is running the show. Lex is running the show.
Okay, you can't just have the movie for 2 hours portray Lex Luthor working hand in glove with the Baravians, and then right at the end it goes, oh, actually, they're not in charge.
No, they set that up. No.
That's bullshit.
No, they set that up the whole time, right? They because there's this question like, why would they do this just for the gun deals? He doesn't need these $1 billion. So throughout the movie, they're embedding this like question, this mystery, like, how is he involved in here? Would it just be for money? And then they literally say it's all set up. This is set up throughout the movie to say it's Lex behind everything, and it's not the Baravians. That's set up.
They say in the movie that he wants the land because it has all these beautiful resources.
But then they find out that is like that's not a good explanation. They actually question that explanation, like that doesn't really make much sense. And this is a literal part of the dialogue. And if you missed it, I'm sorry. You were furiously taking notes because you went into this movie with the notion that it was already anti-Semitic because you had already seen the lefties that you hate. You admit this at the start of your fucking piece, by the way. At the start of the piece, you go, I thought I was already going to hate this, but like the literal first sentence. Yeah, scroll up to that. Zoom into that.
I went into the film with low expectations because I saw various mentally ill leftist figures on social media crow about the film as a total cultural war victory against Israel, America, and the West.
So I took like 2,000 words of notes. I literally. Yeah.
So maybe you didn't hear. So maybe you didn't hear. Maybe you didn't hear when they were like, "Huh, that doesn't really make sense to go to minerals." Yeah, and then they were like, "This is a side deal for him." They literally say that in the build-up, and they set it up. Yeah, they do.
That's not realistic. It's not. It cuts across the entire thrust of the film. The entire thrust of the film is that the Baravians are part of this basically interdimensional conspiracy to enslave the Americans.
No. That's not what's happening in the movie.
They're part of this. They're part of like a universal conspiracy against them.
No, it's Lex. Lex is the one who's, by the way, you're saying like the Baravians are the ones putting people in prison. It's Lex either A, putting his fucking ex-girlfriends and all these people who are opposing him and other political prisoners that he's being outsourced to put in this dimension. It's his portal. It's his people running the portals.
But it's supposed to be Seacott because they say that line. They literally
it's supposed to be Seacott?
It is. When they said that line, all the bad governments of the world farm out political prisoners there. It's very obvious.
It's no. Oh my God! All right.
True.
This is silly.
You had a problem with me saying it was like ICE when he got arrested. It is supposed to be like ICE, dude. Like it's always.
It's not supposed to be like ICE. How is it supposed to be like ICE?
It's so obvious, dude. It's all these evil government agents rounding up brown guy and alien and invading and putting him away, and he has no laws, he has no rights. They actually say that a Supreme Court decision said.
Well, I think that no. I think the
alien.
Immigration connection is there, but I don't think the Sikot connection is there. I don't think they're necessarily ICE. I mean, he submits himself to the Department of Justice, and they get outsourced to Lex. But that's like a common theme in the Superman movie is like Lex gets outsourced. Lex is like embedded with the government. So like that's not any indication to me that they're like trying to have commentary on Sikot. And again, this movie was written before Trump won the election. This movie was written.
I don't know. I think. They can make a lot of changes in post. You know that. You know that films can change over time. Of course they do. Of course they do. It's so obvious, dude. It's literally so obvious.
Would you say cartoonishly evil depictions of Nazis are anti-German?
No.
Why not?
Because like German, like the Nazis are not the inherent repository of all German people.
Oh,
neither is Israel.
Neither is Israel.
Neither is fucking Israel.
Neither is Israel.
But anti-Semites all see Israel as the avatar of the Jews. That is true. That is fact check true.
That's a separate point, though. That's a separate point from what you just said.
No. Every single anti-Semite in the world thinks that Israel is like the main manifestation of the Jews in the world. Like, so yes, it's obvious when there's a film that cartoonishly depicts Israelis just like eating brown people. Of course, it's fucking anti-Semitic, dude.
You're very
it's
clear.
Fucking blood libel.
Blood libel? Blood libel.
Can you tell me? Why, if I'm so schizo and I've invented all this, why is it that Hassan Parker said this is all the best movie? It's literally 2 hours and 10 minutes of fuck Israel. Tell me why.
No, because Hassan is schizo right now and he's wrong about it. But also here's another, I think, a better.
And you're schizo right now. You're like, if I'm so schizo, they start bringing a fucking Hassan out of nowhere. What?
So Hassan is being schizo, but also there's another, I think, argument, and I think it might be a good one that betrays both what Hassan is thinking and what you're thinking is that Hassan sees the values of Superman. Superman is kind. Superman wants to save all life, and maybe what Israel's doing right now isn't consistent with the values of Superman. And so he's
I'll go further and grant. Let's say it's a perfect parallel between Israel and Gaza or whatever. That still wouldn't make it anti-Semitic to me.
Even though the Israeli characters are presented as basically being part of a galactic conspiracy
in a comic book movie. A fictional comic book movie, yeah.
It's the same narrative as Zog. They basically betrayed the Americans as the slaves of them. It's true.
They don't. Lex is in charge.
It's Lex Luthor in charge.
Dude, if you look at how the media is portrayed, the media is portrayed as basically being like the dupes. And it's like all this propaganda, brainwashing.
No. And here's, so for example, Aaron, can you scroll down to where there's like a so keep scrolling down. There's a picture of like buildings being destroyed, and go down. Right there. Okay. So in there, you're saying that these skyscrapers are being blown up by Israel. Bravia doesn't care about destroying. Wait. Let me finish. Bravia, first of all, it's not. Bravia doesn't care about Metropolis being destroyed. That's all part of Lex's plan to get Superman and entrap him. Right? Bravia has all Bravia cares about is invading Jahanpur. They have no role, and they don't care about destroying Metropolis. That's all part of Lex's plan to draw Superman out to kill Superman. So would you agree? At least this is dishonest. What you're doing right here, that's dishonest because that's not the plan.
No. We see the Baravian supervillain. You know, I forget the name of the guy. You know the guy at the very start of the film, and he's got
that's Ultraman. Right? That's Ultraman. Baravian Hammer. Yes.
Baravian Hammer, right? Yeah. So this Baravian Hammer, Baravia.
I know, but it's
which is the Israel.
That's Lex Luthor doing a false flag. Lex Luthor is doing a false flag to undermine Superman. Right? That's why he's doing the false flag, because Superman just went and resolved the conflict, and Lex Luthor, being smart, he's trying to have blowback so the people, and they do turn against Superman a little bit, and publicly, and they talk about this, and so it's all Lex Luthor's machinations to make it more apt for the people to turn against Superman. That's why he does the false flag for Lex's ends, not for Baravians.
The Baravians are victims. The Baravians are victims. They're victims of Lex Luthor.
No, they're in cahoots, but Lex is running the show. Lex is the one. Lex is running the show.
They're in cahoots.
Lex is in cahoots. Okay, but Lex is
Baravian Hammer. Baravian Hammer
for Lex's purposes.
Okay.
You're wrong. That's why you're laughing. You know you're wrong. You know I'm right.
No. Pisco. There is a false flag terrorist attack that's attributed to Israel with red
oh my God.
in New York City.
No, but that's for Lex's purposes. Lex is doing that to undermine Superman in the public eye and to fuck with Superman and also to find out where Superman lives and to take and fuck with his shit. That's literally the plot, right? He's using the false flag and everyone high fives the false flag, not because, oh, we're going to help out Baravia. It's because, oh, we found out where Superman lives. We're turning the public against Superman. That's the whole point.
Okay, are you familiar with the fact that there are a lot of anti-Semites, like for example, Sneeko, who say that 9/11
No, you
was
can't.
done by
You can't address my point. Yes, I know they say that.
I'm trying. Yes, they say that. And then in the film, there is a false flag attack involved with the Israelis blowing up skyscrapers in New York City. Do you not
can't?
think
You can't assume. Wait, wait. You can't assume that there is. No, you can't assume. You're trying to prove that it's Israeli, so you can't assume they're Israeli as part of your proof that they are trying to show Israeli. You understand? You're trying to prove that these people represent Israel. And part of your proof is they're showing them in the Zog narrative. That's what you're saying. But you can't, as part of your proof that they're doing the Zog narrative, assume that Israel is Baravia when that's the whole thing you're trying to prove.
There's a U.S. ally. There's a U.S. ally that's portrayed as evil and is invading a country in the Middle East for no reason. As that's the common narrative among.
I know, but you need to concede. You need to concede that it's Lex running the show. You need to concede it's Lex running the show. That this whole destroying buildings, that's for Lex and Lex's plan. You have to concede that.
He's working in conjunction with them the whole time. When they're destroying the buildings, he's opened up the portal to the universe, and he's opened up that portal to the universe to stop Superman from intervening, to stop the Baravians in Gaza.
Why don't they just let all the Zohran porns go north of the blue country?
Let me explain. Right, in the film, they want to stop Superman from intervening and saving Jahanpur from the Israeli stand-in. Okay?
Lex doesn't give a fuck about that. Lex doesn't give a fuck about that. Lex wants to kill Superman. That's what he wants to do.
But in the film, to stop Superman from intervening in Gaza, they're willing to do a black hole to destroy the universe, which is so similar to the anti-Semitic narrative.
No, you're just wrong about that, right? Because that's not the plan, right? The plan isn't to let the black hole do it so that you can stop the intervention in Baravia. The plan is essentially to trap Superman and kill Superman. That's what the whole thing is.
I think he's working with Baravia the entire time. Baravia is betrayed.
Okay,
dude. Anybody watches the film? Anybody who watches the film?
We're at the point where if a Palestinian made a documentary on what's happening right now in Gaza, you'd say it was anti-Semitic.
No, I wouldn't.
No, you sure?
So that means,
or even a fictional story, or even I'm saying based on your standards, even portraying this a fictional one, it's anti-Semitic.
We're saying that this film is almost like a documentary about what.
No. She said even if it were,
even if it were. Said by your standards.
And also she said even if it were.
Even if it were, it's not anti-Semitic.
My standards are this.
Any more than portraying like American drone strikes or whatever, and or America committing war crimes abroad in a Middle Eastern country is anti-American. That wouldn't be anti-American to make a story like that.
Okay, if you watch a Chinese-made movie and the film has American characters who are supposed to be evil, literally chewing off the heads of children, would you say, this is anti-American, or it's just a documentary about what America does in the global South? Of course, it's anti-American.
I think neither of those.
I would say neither of those.
I think it really does depend on. It's a totality of circumstances. Like, I'm not going to assume just because they have Americans being portrayed as monsters that it's an anti-American film. Like, for example, there are movies about casualties of war. There's a movie, for example, Apocalypse Now, right? That portrays Americans doing horrible things.
Avatar. People said Avatar is supposed to be like the Iraq War.
Have you seen Wolf Warrior, the Chinese propaganda film? In the film, it's like basically these Chinese mercenaries that are saving African civilians in Africa from these evil American mercenaries who are just literally obsessed with just slaughtering and drinking the blood of brown people. That is obviously fucking anti-American.
Okay, will you at least back down from this as a griper movie?
No, I think honestly, if you accept that the film is about Israel, which I genuinely think it is supposed to represent the evil American ally as Israel, then all the narratives about it basically running the world, enslaving the Americans, carrying out like interdimensional atrocities, that is basically a groiper narrative.
So how do you deal with the fact that
Drew is not going to advocate for anyone to go see it and decide for themselves because you're going to be contributing to a blood libel and financially supporting an anti-Semitic propaganda film.
If you want to see it, go out and see it. I'm not going to say. I'm not going to stand athwart. I'm not going to stand athwart the cinema entrance and go, no, you can't go watch Super.